DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking to my ball. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
All right, Miami Dolphins fans, welcome to night one of the 2025 Dolphins Talk Draft Spectacular. I'm Michael Leva. That's Aaron the Brain. That's Josh Katzker, the brothers from the exact same mother. Boys, you ready for tonight? This should be fun.
I'm pumped.
I am so fired up to see which guy the Miami Dolphins are going to allow to leave after their fourth season in 2029.
They're going to pick up the fifth-year option, then let them walk.
Very, very excited. Can't wait.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah, it should be exciting. Right now, they're picked 13. There's so much news, rumors, innuendo, reports. Gray Zabel is one of them. They're going to take Grant. They're going to take who knows what's going to happen. I'll say that they're all not going to be right. Someone's wrong here, so we'll see. I know there's a report from Steve Weish of the NFL Network who was adamant. Gray Zabel. It's a sure thing. It's a lock, which tells me it's probably won't happen, but we'll see what happens here over the next few hours. We're going to be here at least through Miami's pick. And if they trade down, that might be all night. But if they stay at 13, it won't be all night. And we're going to give away some merch, some glass. We're going to give away a Pilsner glass. We'll give away a hat. We'll give away maybe a Fire Greer shirt or two, all in fun. We love Chris. Well, not really, but it's just ironic on the night of the draft, Chris Greer's biggest night, we're giving away Fire Greer shirts because we're a friendly bunch. And here's how we're going to give stuff away. You got to send in a super chat. Super chat. If you send in a super chat question, it'll be prioritized. We will answer it on the air, and those people will be the ones we pick the winners from. So if you're on the YouTube channel, send in a super chat. And that's how we're going to decide who wins this stuff. And it's literally at random. Surprise guest popping on throughout the evening as well. So it should be a lot of fun. What do you guys think?
I'm genuinely excited, Brain. Are you? I feel like I say this knowing that it's tempting the fates, but I feel like there's a very good chance that the Dolphins, or I should say this, I think the chance of the Dolphins screwing up this first pick is pretty small. I think I think just about everybody that is on the radar for the Dolphins to pick here. I mean, while I think I would prefer them to go defense, whether that's defensive tackle or cornerback, I think if they were to decide to go offensive line, that would be a good investment at this point in the draft, unless they just went completely off the rails and drafted somebody who, people were thinking was a third or fourth round pick and they picked him at the top. But otherwise, I just think there's a very good chance that whoever it is the Dolphins end up picking at 13 is going to leave people feeling pretty happy.
Well, I kind of feel the opposite. I feel like while I agree with what you're saying, I agree that just about anybody that they could possibly take at 13, save for them really going wild and picking somebody that nobody is thinking about, that would be a huge reach, which I don't think is going to happen. I think you can absolutely make a case for it's going to be a really good player. But at the same time, no matter what they do, it's going to be scrutinized, and a bunch of people are going to hate it. Some people are going to love it. A lot of people are going to hate it. There's only a couple of scenarios, in my opinion, where the perfect storm happens and a player drops into Miami's lap that they take it and everybody's just like, this is amazing. They knocked
Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, a Laramie Tunsil situation. And that would be if either of the top tackles, Will Campbell or Membu, should fall to them, or, and this one has been rumored, if Mason Graham starts falling and he makes it all the way to 13 and Miami has a shot at taking the best defensive tackle in the draft at 13, that would be a home run, slam dunk, whatever sports analogy you want to use to describe that pick. That would be a great pick. Aside from that, there are a lot of players that Miami could take. I know, Mike, you talked about it recently. You said Jalen Walker could fall and Miami could take Jalen Walker, and that would be a great pick. That's a top 10 talent that Miami could take, and people would get mad because they're taking an edge rusher and not an interior guy. We've talked about Jahdae Barron being a potential pick for Miami at 13, and we all like him and like his upside and his versatility. But I can absolutely see people hating that pick because you want to get bigger and stronger and you take a 5'11" cornerback. Will Johnson, the rumors now that he might fall all the way out of the first round because of concerns with injury. I could see Miami taking him, and everybody was going to say, well, this was the guy that everybody would have loved them to take just a week ago. And then people are going to say, well, yeah, but now it's just Chris Greer drafting another injured guy. Like, there's so many different ways that Miami could go and absolutely make a great pick and get a great player. And still, a lot of people are going to hate on it. So I'm just kind of ready for that because aside from one of those two tackles or Mason Graham falling in their laps, a lot of the fan base is going to have a problem with whoever they take.
Yeah, I agree. Chris Greer put himself in this type of situation with what he's done the previous years in trades and contracts, and this team has a lot of holes. And I just want to remind fans, it's night one of the draft. There are 7 rounds. As of right now, they have 10 picks. They are not going to fill every hole, by magic with one pick tonight. Just hope they get a very good player who they can put on the field, who will start day one, whether it's offensive line, secondary, corner, safety, I know, is in play. There was a report, Malachi Starks. Miami's really hot on Malachi Starks. I know they're hot on like 10 people, but he's out there. That name has been floated. Mason Graham, if he falls in their lap, I think it's a godsend. I don't know if it'll happen, but that'd be a godsend. But just get one player that week one come September, you can say, we drafted this guy, he's starting, and he's probably going to be pretty good as a rookie, and hopefully he becomes really good over time. That's all you can ask for. Just don't, we've seen in the past, this is not Chris Greer, Jason Allen, Charles Harris. We can't have one of those types of picks. We got to get someone who can actually play a little bit here. And at 13, you should be able to. If you just sit on your hands and do nothing, someone should fall to you. Now, if you want to get cute and start trading down, there's risk involved, but this draft seems to be deep enough where if you're at 18, 19, 20, 21, you still should get a good player who can help you. Lord knows you have so many holes. Whoever they take should help. I would probably advise, though, against being too cute. Just, if you want to be a little cute and trade down a couple spots, go for it. Don't get too cute because, again, this roster needs talent. If you look at the 2023 Miami Dolphins roster, then you look at then take a look at the roster today. No Jerome Baker, no Xavier Howard, no Jalen Ramsey, soon enough, no Javon Holland. Elliott, gone. Jones in the secondary, gone. Andrew Van Ginkel's gone. And that's just the defense. Let's go over to the offense. I could just list more names. Mostert, gone. Like, this team just needs to raise the talent floor right now. Don't think playoffs. Don't think trying to catch the Bills. Just bring in good players. And tonight, they should get one. Let's just focus on the first one. Then starting tomorrow, we'll focus on maybe getting 2 more or 3 if they trade. Don't try. You're not going to solve it all in one night. So tonight, hit a solid double, Chris Greer. Don't strike out. Just give me a solid stand-up double, and I'll be happy.
What do we think of Roger Goodell riding a bike out onto the stage in Green Bay to
Dog and Pony Show? Who cares? Start reading the names off the index cards. Let's go.
Well, first he's got to give a little speech and tell everybody that the Tennessee Titans are officially on the clock. What do they get? What do they get on the clock for the first round? 5 minutes?
No,
minutes?
It's like 15.
15 minutes.
15 or 12, I think. Yeah,
it's at least 10, but I think it's 12 or 15.
Over under
15, I think they dropped it to 12.
over under 7.5 minutes before they make the pick.
Oh, absolutely. They're going to milk this. They're going to milk it. They always do.
I like all the compliments I'm getting in the chat for my for my looks.
Because you're not wearing a hat, and you always wear a hat. I think that's why.
That's right.
Oh, we got a first super chat, but I don't see a question tied to it.
That's fine. We appreciate.
Thank you. I am a Miami Dolphins fan.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's
We
much
appreciate it.
You're the best.
Thank you for your contribution to ensure that I can keep this smooth cut.
Yes. So Cam Ward, how many quarterbacks do you think go tonight? I think the over-under is at like 2.5. And there's been a lot of chatter that Sanders might not get picked tonight.
Yeah. He's not even at the draft.
Yeah, but that was already scheduled in advance. So, but,
I think
he might go late round 1. I don't think
I'll say under 2.5.
I would say under 2.
I'm going to say the over. I think it's going to get dicey as it starts, as Shadur starts falling. But I think when you get towards the 20s and you end up with teams that pass early, like the Giants and the Browns and the Saints, I think there's enough teams that pick early in the second round, and there's enough competition to get a quarterback that I think two guys will go late in the first round. I think it will be Sanders, and then I think it will be Dart. But the kid out of Louisville, there's
Shuck.
Yeah, there is some intrigue there because he's a guy that, has all the physical tools, but he's had a ton of injuries.
He's 25, and he is one big some bitch. He's like 6'5", like 220. He's a big boy. And he's 25, which I know some teams, they don't like that. I kind of like a kid who might be a little bit more mature. I don't know.
Historically, it hasn't worked out.
That's the problem. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, historically, it hasn't worked out. The first guy I think of is Chris Wenke.
Yeah.
And then was it Mason Rudolph? It was a guy out of Oklahoma State.
Probably was Mason Rudolph.
I think it was Mason Rudolph, who was another guy that was like 24, 25 years old. Historically, it doesn't work out with those guys. Yeah.
I think if you're a team that's like not a god-awful team, a team that's like halfway decent, you might roll the dice on someone who's at that age. If you're like total blowing it up, you're one of a rebuild, you probably don't want a 25-year-old. Because it's like by the time we're good, you're gonna be over 30 maybe. It's like that's probably not ideal.
Yeah, I look at specifically the Giants because they have so much pressure to win now to save their jobs, and they brought in Russell Wilson. They want to win to a certain extent this year, but if they do too much winning this year, then they're not going to be in a position to get their future franchise quarterback because Russell Wilson is not going to be their franchise quarterback. So I'm looking at the Giants as a team that absolutely should not necessarily take a quarterback with the number 3 pick. But if a quarterback starts falling, I could see them getting a little antsy and saying, we've got to go up and get our guy if they like a guy.
Did you hear the story about what happened with the Giants last night? So Shane, their general manager, who last year on Hard Knocks, where it was all out there, are they going to pay Saquon? And his son was on the show, and his son was telling him, pay Saquon. And the son was like, stole the show. And then he asked his son on one of the shows, what should we do in the draft? Blah, blah, blah. Jaden Daniels. Take Jaden Daniels. Trade up, just take Jaden Daniels. You got to be an idiot not to take Jaden. And the kid stole the show. So last night he goes on his Instagram. Someone found the kid's personal Instagram, and I guess last night he was sharing videos of Jackson Dart. Now, does this mean he knows something about what the father's going to do, and then the father caught wind of what the son was doing, had the kid take down the videos and turn his Instagram into private so nobody can see it? So it might have been leaked that the Giants might want Jackson Dart based off this kid who people all caught last night on Instagram putting out videos of Jackson Dart highlights. This kid's the best. So everyone's reading into it. Because the son last year nailed Jaden Daniels. The father didn't listen. He told him what to do. So that was a big story today.
What a disaster. What a disaster if the Giants draft Jackson Dart at number 3 in the draft. What a disaster.
Not number 3, but later if they...
I wouldn't put anything past that ridiculous front office.
They did draft Daniel Jones very early.
That's true.
What was he,
That's
like
true.
7th or 6th or something like that?
It was top 10. Yeah, it was like something like that. Daniel Jones with the Colts now. Yes, Patrick Mullen. I did see that report too about the Giants offered Tennessee a lot like a month ago to get the first pick, and Tennessee shot him down. I did see that report today. We'll see. Have they even started yet? Okay, they're at 6 minutes.
The Titans are on the phone with Cam Ward now, and it's just about done, says Albert Breer.
Oh, okay, good.
But they're in the process of making the video that they're going to drop on social media tomorrow. Like they got to take their time with it, you know.
Here's my other question too, which I just thought of like half hour ago prior to starting. Each year, these teams have like a big party. And, you know, the Finns, Hard Rock Stadium, everyone shows up, blah, blah, blah. Are they even holding a draft party this year? Because I haven't seen one thing on it. I don't think they're having – I think they're afraid of the reaction if they invite fans. I really do, because they usually promote the shit out of that. And I haven't heard anything. Like tweets at that. I haven't heard one thing about a Miami Dolphins draft party. I really think they're afraid what the fans, how they'll act if they show up, because right now the vibe is so stinking negative around the Dolphins.
Yeah, we didn't hear anything from Ian about it yesterday, and he would have had his, you know, he's pretty looped in if they're doing something like that. Yeah. He's one of those long time
I already sent him
season ticket holders.
I don't know when he's going to join, but he'll join us tonight. I'll ask him. He might have heard something. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard a damn thing, and that's like.
But it hasn't been promoted on their social media. It hasn't been anywhere.
Nothing. And they'll usually send out like text messages, which I'll get. They'll send out email alerts and stuff. I haven't heard nothing. I'm like, that lets you know they got their finger on the pulse right now, and they know what's going on.
They sent out 4 pictures from the side of the war room. That's what you get.
That's all you're getting.
Here's a picture of some screens.
Yeah.
They're not wrong.
This isn't fair.
They're not wrong. I mean, there's a very low likelihood of them drafting somebody and it just being universally loved.
Yeah, I agree. When that one report came out like an hour or two back about Gray Zabel, and again, if it's Gray Zabel, fine. Let's just see how. I mean, he's kind of one of those guys worthy of being the 13th pick. I think it's a little early to me, but okay, whatever. I'll play along because again, we can't yell at them 10 months out of the year, fix the offensive line, and then we take an offensive lineman in round 1 and be like, I can't believe we took that guy. So it's like, can't be that type of a hypocrite. But if they take him, I think there's going to be a large segment of this fan base. Like, we're taking a guy from North Dakota State to 13, and that's all they're going to see, North Dakota State, even though that's been a football powerhouse on the FCS level. And they've sent a lot of offensive linemen to the, you know, in the NFL of late. People are going to see them and be like, really? We got all these needs on defense, and there's guys out there from Georgia and Texas, and this one we took a guy from. Fans are there'll be a large segment of fans who will flip out, and then Josh, as we always say, there's going to be the segment of fans like we got the next Bob Kuchenberg. It's like he's going to, he's great.
Oh yeah,
and the fact that he's a guard, a lot of people are going to hate, regardless of how good he is. A lot of people are going to debate whether it's worth it to even draft a guard at 13, no matter how good he is. I would argue. Get a great player, and I agree. It's worth it. And to me, while I wouldn't love that pick because I do think it would be a little bit of a reach, I would respect the hell out of the pick because it would demonstrate a seismic shift in
philosophy
building. Not only would they be drafting somebody that's not a quote unquote premium position, but they'd be investing on the interior of their offensive line, which is something that this team has not done. And they divested from the interior of this offensive line a year ago. So as much as I do think it would be a reach, I wouldn't hate it.
Exactly. I feel the same way. Look who joined us. The pride of Western New York, Tom Ernest. What's going on, Tom?
Well, I walked outside. I'm at a buddy's house watching the draft, and I see this big trade that just went through. I don't know if you guys just saw it.
Oh, it did just go through?
The Browns are sending number 2 to Jacksonville.
Is that official?
That is official.
I heard that was something that they were thinking about doing. Oh, there it is. It's done. Browns receive fifth overall pick in the first round, 36 overall pick, 126 overall pick, and a 2026 first. Jacksonville will pick second and have the 104th overall pick and the 200th overall pick.
That's a good trade for Cleveland.
It's got to be Travis Hunter.
Yes.
Has to be.
Now we have a live look right now at the Jacksonville Jaguars war room as they're on the It's a party in Jacksonville right now. They're going to get Travis Hunter. If I'm Travis Hunter, it's probably would have rather ended up in Cleveland, honestly. I think not that they're anything great, but Jacksonville seems like a little bit of a hot mess just overall. It seems like a team with like no buzz. At least the Browns got some buzz going on around them. You got Myles Garrett and you got a little bit of buzz in Cleveland. Jacksonville,
I kind of love it. I think the biggest news though is that Tom is outside in Central New York,
Western New York.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Western New York, Central New York. It's close. He's on the border.
Close enough. Yeah, that's right. He is.
It's 70 degrees out right now. It's fantastic.
It was a nice day today. It was a beautiful day up here today.
Gorgeous day here in
gorgeous
in parts unknown.
Yeah. Parts unknown. And Tom's going to join me tonight for a podcast very late after whoever we pick, breaking it down as we do every year. Yeah. Unlike the year, how many years back was it, Tom? It's got to be now at least 5 years or so back where Tom was in the middle of a move and he was in a rented house and his young child was probably 2 years old. So he had to go in a car in his garage, record a show. And he was so upset one night. He wanted to yell and scream, but he would wake everyone up from the garage. So he's venting in a whisper. It's the single greatest podcast I've ever recorded, watching Tom be so upset in a whisper in his car in a garage, recording how Miami, for like the 8th year in a row, passed on another running back.
Yeah, so because with that pick, they took Noah Igbenogany. So yes, I have every reason to be upset that they didn't get Jonathan Taylor.
So I have a question for you guys. What is for you, like, what are the inflection points in this draft for you as we look ahead to, the Dolphins picking at 13, assuming the Dolphins stand pat? What are the kind of inflection points? In other words, the picks where you think it's possible that the direction that the Dolphins are going to go is going to be irrevocably changed. Like, for example, like one of the buzzy picks, at least it's less buzzy now, but it felt like for a while that the Raiders were going to draft Ashton Genty. But now it feels like perhaps they're not going to go that direction and they might go offensive line, and that is going to alter things. So like, are there picks that, like, in particular that you are looking at to kind of define what is going to be available for the Dolphins? Saints
and San Francisco.
Yep.
What they do will affect what Miami does. If the Saints don't take a quarterback, they take Will Johnson or whoever, that's going to affect what Miami does. And San Francisco has the same type of mindset as Miami, I think, in some ways. And if they take an offensive tackle, that might be someone who Miami wants. If they take Mason Graham, if he falls, that might be someone who Miami wants. So I think those are the two teams. When we get to 9 and 11, I think the top 5 or 6, those guys probably would have no chance. I just think 9 and 11 are going to be the two biggies.
Yeah, I don't know that there's necessarily like one, but I think San Francisco, of all of the teams, I think San Francisco is the one because their needs are so similar to Miami's needs right now. They need an offensive lineman. They need a defensive lineman. They could go cornerback. And because of that, they could be taking somebody off the board and because of how close to Miami they pick, not only could they be taking somebody off the board for that Miami could be drafting, it could be the last guy that Miami is loving picking. Because if Will Johnson is indeed dealing with like injury concerns and the Dolphins have taken him off the board, then there's only one cornerback that they could potentially be taking. If the run on offensive linemen goes early, then you're not going to have an offensive lineman unless you reach on Gray Zabel at 13. But that might mean that Mason Graham starts dropping. And that, like, to me, that's a guy that if he's there at 13, if it's either Mason Graham or one of those big offensive linemen, especially if it's Will Campbell, because I think he'd be just a perfect fit for them, it's a run up to the podium moment.
I agree.
For me, I think the draft really for the Dolphins, excuse me, starts at Carolina's pick. I think they have the equivalent needs as well. Corner is a big need next to J.C. Horn in Carolina, and also defensive tackle. So depending on what the Panthers decide to do can have that trickle effect to what you guys have been saying is, to New Orleans. What's New Orleans going to do with that pick? And then going even further to San Francisco at pick 11. I think that's really going to adjust the board. And I think if the Dolphins' main targets, if it is Mason Graham, if it is Jahdae Barron, if it is one of the two offensive tackles, I think in that scenario, you look at trading back. If you have a team, say the Broncos, that has been talked about today, that the Broncos may want to jump ahead of Indianapolis if Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland are sitting there. That's a perfect trade down scenario for the Dolphins, and I would love if they trade back, because this draft is about drafting needs and literal starters on the first 2 days of this draft, and the Dolphins can use extra ammunition. So it depends on how the board falls. I'm team trade back personally, but if I think if the draft starts at Carolina, what they do will really affect how the Dolphins view pick 13. And if there's more players they do like, trade back if there's an opportunity that presents itself.
Yeah. And that brings up a good point. Are there who are the guys that if they fall to Miami at 13, there could be interest in Miami trading back and somebody moving up to 13? Because that's the other piece of this. It's easy to say, yeah, Miami should absolutely trade back. We want to get an extra day 2 pick somewhere between 48 and 98, but you got to have a partner. There has to be a team that's willing to give you that to move up.
For sure.
To me, it gets interesting if one of the 2 tight ends goes before Miami picks, because there are multiple teams that love both Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland. And I think if neither of those guys go, then there's not going to be a lot of teams that are like itching to move up unless they really love one more than the other. But if one of those guys goes, let's say, the Saints at number 9 or, San Francisco at number 11 ends up taking them, then, maybe a team like Indianapolis that has been rumored to be really high on wanting to get a tight end to upgrade that room. Maybe they are worried that somebody else is going to trade up to get ahead of them. Maybe Denver with Sean Payton and all the success that he had with Jimmy Graham back in the day. Maybe they want to move up to get a tight end. And the position scarcity there maybe drives you where you can not just trade back, but trade back in a position where you don't actually have to trade back like 13 to 15 spots, but trade back like, 3 to 6 spots and still get your guy and still pick up that extra day 2 pick.
All right. So Peter Schrager is reporting the Browns aren't done. They might be trading back again. He's hearing that they're working the phones trying to trade out of 5 and move down to get more picks. He says the Browns just want to compile as many picks as possible. So keep an eye on Browns here at 5. We might hear something else real soon. Peter Schrager saying they're working the phones right now, trying to trade down and get more picks.
So with the Jaguars picking Travis Hunter officially, makes Travis Hunter either the highest wide receiver drafted or the highest drafted wide receiver since Calvin Johnson in 2007.
Yep.
Or if he's a cornerback, he's the highest drafted cornerback in the history of the NFL draft.
They announced him as both.
Yeah.
Wide receiver and corner.
I thought Dion went number 1 overall.
No, Deion didn't go on. Deion didn't. No, he went like 5 or 6.
Oh, okay.
Because at the combine, greatest story ever. He was going to meet with all these teams at the combine. He was going to meet with the Giants, and they gave him a big book. And they're like, read up this book. we're going to meet tomorrow and we're going to go over all these plays. And he goes to the Giants team and he goes, where are you guys picking? And they said like 9th. He goes, I'll be gone by then. I ain't reading no book. He didn't read the book. And he went like 5th or 6th to Atlanta. He goes, I ain't reading this book. I'm going to be gone by 9. You ain't going to get me.
All right,
Tom,
fellas,
you gotta
I'm going to
run?
head back in. And,
Don't fall asleep on me tonight.
I'll catch you guys on the flip side with Mike.
Don't fall asleep, Tom. Stay awake.
You got a podcast. Stay awake. Don't get too drunk.
No, we're Red Bulls and alcohol are on the way, boys.
All right.
Good stuff.
All right, Tom.
Good
Have
stuff.
A good one.
We
I'll
love
talk
to
you
hear.
later.
We'll
See you,
later.
Tom.
Bye.
Bye.
The Tom
All right.
Ernessy.
That's one of our guests. I forgot to send a link to one of them. I'll do that now. We got a few more people join us throughout the night. One of them straight from the Miami Dolphins headquarters.
So who would? I mean, if the Browns
Who would
are
trade
able-
up?
Yeah, who would trade up to 5?
Let's see. And for who? It would probably be a team who wants one of the offensive
maybe the
linemen, I would think.
Bears for Genty.
Bears for Genty if he's there, yes. And I think it'd be a team who wants possibly if the right offensive lineman's there.
Yeah,
I would think one of those teams. Because I don't think anyone's trading up for like Walker. I don't think anyone's trading up for a tight end because there's 2 of them who are like pretty close. So yeah, it'd probably be if someone like I got to get Banks. Calvin Banks is our guy. It'd be that or Ashton Gentry if he's there. Probably be him, which probably then ties into the Bears. Cleveland might come out of this with like a plethora of picks, not only for this year, but also next year. And next year's quarterback class, which might have them be like, you know what? We're not even going to touch a quarterback this year because next year we're going to have all these extra picks. And that class is way better at quarterback. You got the LSU kid, you got the Penn State kid, you got Nico now at UCLA, Arch Manning possibly. That's like you're going to have a bunch of guys in round 1. Oh, we got another special guest joining us. And the man from Backyard Breaks now. Zach Krantz, what's up, buddy?
Look at this.
Zach Krantz, how are you?
You got the Cam Wake jersey on. I love it.
Listen, this Cam Wake jersey was on every single podcast I've done with Mike except for one when I wore the Tua jersey one time. That was it. It's over with. It's back to Cam Wake. It's draft night. I literally sat down. My brother ran in the room, told me there's been trades already. I am not caught up. I am not up to date. All I care about is you 3 right now. That's it.
That's awesome. So yeah,
we'll catch you
Jacksonville
up.
traded with Cleveland, and Jacksonville took Travis Hunter. And now Cleveland's at 5, and now there's a report they might look to trade down again.
Wow.
So Cleveland might be on the move again and just stockpile picks. Right now, Giants probably Abdul Carter. Not official yet, but yeah, so that's where we are. What do you want to see Miami do tonight? Are there like 3 names or so? It's like if they get one of those 3 names, you're happy. Or are you just like down like the rest of us, like, oh boy, this offseason's
Well, this offseason's been a little underwhelming. Everything's been underwhelming. Everything just feels like we're the only people worried, and the franchise really isn't worried that much as a fan base. And now, my favorite part of this, as a part of the media with you guys and not with my other group right now, I'm going to say this. I'm really down on this Dolphins franchise right now. I am not that I expected a trade to number 1 tonight to grab, like that's not what I was expecting. This has nothing to do with what's happened in the last 30 minutes or so.
That's 30 years.
30 years or so. And to be honest with you, I'm just underwhelmed by this franchise right now. I have been one of the advocates, as Mike knows, we did the Dolphins roundtable every week for about 3 years, 2.5 years, whatever it was. A very big advocate of Stephen Ross is a great owner. Don't get on Stephen Ross. He spends the money when he needs to spend the money. If someone comes to him and says, we need a $60 million check tomorrow because we need to extend this guy and it'll help the cap, Buddy's writing checks. But now at this point, I don't care about the checkbook as much as I care about what Stephen Ross's football IQ is. And I promise you, it's a lot lower than I thought by keeping the same crew around again and doing this.
He's
I'm
old.
really down right now. I'm excited for draft night. I'm excited to talk to you guys. But the truth of the matter is, nothing tonight is going to make me bet that, like, all of a sudden just jumping up and down in this. Whatever they get tonight is fine. I'll go back to what you originally said. I don't think there's a safety on the roster yet, so I know we need a safety at some point, and that's fine. I don't even want to give you names. I just want to give you a couple positions. Offensive line, not sexy, but the team needs some help. If that happens there, that's fine. Safety be good as well. That's what I'm saying. Quarterback, yes. We're assuming that things are going to happen with our quote-unquote number one guy right now, and he's not going to be on this team, so you're probably going to have to fill that. I just don't want to see them reach for the stars tonight. Pick someone that comes into camp, penciled in as a starter, and by week 1 is the starter at that position, not someone who, good luck, we need a 6-game stretch to see if he can play or not. No. I want a day one starter. Whatever position out of those 3 that they could get there, I'll smile and I'll be okay with until actually training camp when I'm probably pissed off again.
Yeah, I think you're dead on. And I don't think it's just tonight. I think it's the Dolphins need to have multiple day one starters in this draft, which is I think what makes tomorrow night so exciting, because that's the place where I think the Dolphins are going to have a chance to land a couple of them. But to go back to what you said about the fact that tonight is a night where nothing that happens tonight is going to change your overall opinion about this team going forward. I think that's completely right. I think that's completely fair. I think what the Dolphins can do tonight and what they can do tomorrow, what they can do to a lesser extent on Saturday, is that they can begin to plant the seeds for the return of that optimism to grow. And to be perfectly frank, I don't think you're going to start to see that optimism start to sprout, if it happens at all, until probably late in this regular season that is to come. I don't think we're talking about being optimistic about this team between now and the start of the season. I think it's going to really, there's a lot that needs to take root on this team, because if we can get into this if we want to, but as we have mentioned in numerous shows in the past, there are a lot of underlying issues. Mike, I think you said it on your show with Josh earlier this week, that regardless of what happens in this draft, regardless of what happens during regular, the rest of free agency, you're going to go into the regular season with the same problem that you've got at head coach, and that's not going to change.
And quarterback, got to stay healthy. Those two things aren't going to change until September. And then they have to show us, and not just for a week, not just for a month. They got to show us for 4 months. That's that the head coach has some sort of growth as a coach. Because right now he's bad. And I know some fans love him, and the jokes, they laugh, it's cute. He's a bad head coach, especially on Sundays. In-game decisions are terrible. No adjustments with the offense. Everyone's caught on to him. He's done nothing but get worse from year 1, 2, 3. So that's a big one. And then, it comes down to the quarterback. And I know half the fan base loves him, half the fan base hates him. Bottom line is, got to stay healthy, got to make plays. That's all I care about. I don't care how popular he is. I don't care if he's on a boat getting drunk. I don't care what he's doing. Just stay healthy for as close to 17. If he misses 1 or 2, fine. You can't miss 6. That's the problem. And if he's not healthy, then it's time to go. It's time to move on from him. I don't care what the contract is. It's just you got to play. And those are the 2 biggest problems this franchise has. The third one is Greer, but he is third. The first 2 is the head coach, who now there's a report today that all these guys are leaving because he rubs them all the wrong way, and no one likes to, work with him, I guess. So there's that out there. I don't know how true it is, but that's what's out there at least. And you got a quarterback who he'll say the right thing at the press conference. He'll say it. But then his actions doesn't protect himself and doesn't even try, especially since he got paid.
Yeah. Listen, and I'll say this, and we'll go around the room again, of course, because I'm just now jumping into everything.
That's okay.
I need proof, and when I mean proof, I'm like what you said, Mike. Like I need an 8-week window in the beginning of the year, and I'm not saying 8-0, 7-1. I mean, even 6-2 is probably a long shot at that point. But you got to win. You got to win some of those games, and you got to show me that there's something there in that team and that core. Because I think one thing. And it's funny because I keep going back to when Mike and myself, Doug Lee, we were doing the roundtable for so long. We talked about how to build on the core. If we're really going to do another kind of replant of this team, reseed the team, you got to build it around. And we talked about it for years. Javon Holland, who's not here anymore. Jalen Phillips, kind of your young core, those guys, whether it's defense on an offense, Jalen Waddle, and now with Achane, like the whole deal. How many of those guys at this point do you think are going to be on this team in 2 years? Like Jalen Phillips, or are we all?
No,
yeah, like we just don't know.
I'm not paying him. I can't.
With Jalen Waddle, in a year or two,
Probably.
probably still on this roster, but
Yeah.
who knows at that point if they're moving on from somebody, they don't think he's a number one guy if Tyreek leaves. Like, there's just so much right now about this team. And 2 years ago, I think we had discussions on every podcast, every radio show, every Dolphin fan blog that you can mention, that 2 or 3 years ago is the best roster we've seen in 2 decades, maybe top to bottom, between having Tyreek and having this guy, just wow, look at this roster. And we got this coach that, what if he can put it together? And then we saw what the offense looked like, and we put 70 points. Like, it was just amazing. Think about where we are now. That wasn't 10 years ago. Like, that was within
24 months,
right?
24 months.
It just makes me think, like, yes, is the roster the way we want? No. That's the most important part. But I think the most important part, even +1 from that, is, do we have the right guys building the roster and making this roster? Because the roster can be great on paper. But if you don't want guys putting and cooking the meal, go to Parcells. Go back to the Parcells quote at that point, right?
Yeah. You're 100% correct. That's the question. And that's why, like, is Mike McDaniel great? No, I think he's got his pros and his positives and his negatives. Has Tua been a disappointment, especially because he hasn't stayed healthy? Yes. But the bigger issue here is the way this team was built.
Right.
Because the team was starting to when they tore this thing down to the studs, they started to build it the right way.
Right.
And they got one taste of success, and they got close to being a playoff team, and they decided, oh, it's time to make our move. And they go and they trade a first and a fourth for Bradley Chubb. And then the following year, they're trading multiple firsts for Tyreek Hill. And when you do that, you build yourself that small window where you've built yourself a really nice roster, but you've done 2 things. Number one, your team is extremely top heavy because it never really had that real foundation to build upon. It wasn't ready to take that next step. And then 2, you've built it with aging free agents that are overpaid and are full of themselves. And then you end up with Tyreek Hill earning himself an extension because he leverages it against the GM, because the GM says, well, look, we've built ourselves this small window. We've got to win now. I can't afford to have Tyreek Hill hold out. Then the following year, or same year, it's like Jalen Ramsey. He needs a new contract extension because we need to free up cap space so that we can sign more guys because we have to win now. This is what happens when you don't build it correctly, and you end up a couple years later having to tear it all back down again. And what do you have to show for it? You don't even have a playoff win.
All right, guys, we have some news here, so I want to catch up people on picks. Number 4, New England, Will Campbell, and fans of the Dolphins were hoping this guy might fall. He's not fallen. Mason Graham went 5 to Cleveland. Cleveland stayed. They took Mason Graham. So Will Campbell 4, Mason Graham 5. Now the Raiders are on the clock to catch everyone up if you're not watching live here. So Mason Graham, I know the past 48 hours, there's been some hope and been some fun. Maybe he'll fall. Maybe he'll fall.
Right.
The Brownies, you know what? That's a hell of a trade for Cleveland. You move down to 5.
Yes.
You get a guy like him. You pick up a 1 next year in a strong quarterback class. They got pick 5, I think 33 and 36 now. They're going to get 3 good players here if they don't slide up to take a quarterback late round 1 or something, or at top round 2. And they have extra picks next year round 1. That was a hell of a trade for them. So I think he's really good, Mason Graham. I don't think he will be a bust. I think he's
I'll
the
tell
guy.
you what, I'm surprised that Mike didn't drop the bong picture of Mason Graham right before the draft tonight. I was hoping that was going to help us get him at 13 in that same spot again. But obviously Mike didn't do that. Very classy move by you, and then Mason Graham goes 5. So
That's right.
I will tell you this. Think about that Cleveland team. If this kid actually is pretty good with him and Myles Garrett, again, Cleveland's a poop team. We get that. They're not going to win a lot of games. Their offense will be okay, whatever it is. But I don't want to run on that defense or have to pass against that defense.
No.
Be solid.
And if they can get a young quarterback who's halfway decent, because Joe Flacco ain't the man.
Right.
Get someone young who can maybe midpoint this year take over, or if they just wait till next year, which they might do. That team's going to have a pretty good roster around them, I would think, if they draft smartly today and tomorrow, which is always a big if, obviously. But yeah. So Zach, tell everyone what you're doing now, because your new job's kind of cool.
It's amazing to me to be able to explain this, and I tried to explain it to Mike when it was all happening at the time, and it was still hard to explain then. Just imagine if you were 13 years old again, 11 years old again, 10 years old again, and you were that into sports cards and trading cards and basketball cards and football cards and baseball and WWE and UFC and WME, you name the kind of card that comes out, Tiger Woods cards, Disney, Marvel, you name it. I work for Backyard Breaks now. I was recruited a couple months back. And I am a breaker. You could see me 5 days a week in the morning on my own stream on the Whatnot app in the Backyard Breaks room. And we legitimately sell cards. We auction off cards. We do everything. I turned into Crazy Eddie overnight. If anyone remembers that 80s reference, I told Mike that also. I'm slanging cards. And not only that, but one of the deals that I made with the Backyard Breaks team a couple months back before I left Odyssey was I'd like to, after a couple months, be able to build something from scratch here. And I spoke to Mike about this too, because I know Mike did a very good job of doing this at DolphinsTalk.com to try to build a podcast network. And we have just got all our what's together. And May 1st will be the launch of the Live at $1 podcast network. Right. So we're very excited about that too. Hopefully I'll be able to do some more stuff with DolphinsTalk.com with Backyard Break shirts on from now on when we do that. But we're building it from scratch. I've now went from Krantz's Corner to Radio's Yard. They call me Backyard Radio there. So now it's going to be Radio's Yard, where we did a draft preview earlier today. But we're getting started. We're using all the crazy people in my building because there are hundreds of crazy people in my building. And you're going to see a lot of the characters come out. But we're basically going to be able to talk about whatever we want to, the hobby, sports. We just had a WrestleMania preview and review. We're doing everything. Nice. But we got a cast of characters that's pretty awesome. And I'm excited to be able to build this from scratch, from a piece of paper on the floor up into hopefully something very big one day. I'd like to one day be called Barstool Light. That would be nice.
There you go. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a big market. There's a lot of podcasts out there.
Everyone's got a podcast. Why not? That's what I
here's the deal.
Right.
Everyone has one because people are listening to them. Right. Obviously, some are larger than others, obviously, but there's a market for it, that on-demand listening. People love it. And I know that'll be great with you in charge over there. And like you said, we haven't worked out everything. He's going to be doing more stuff with our site as well, talking Dolphins. Because he's got that itch to scratch.
Whether Mike likes it or not, because I'm
I know.
When he comes down here.
We're going to, yes, because Zach Krantz lives by the old saying, if it's free, it's me. So last year he joined us at our meal, which Aaron would have been with us last year, but the week I went down is the week he moved back to Syracuse.
Oh,
so we missed our dinner.
He told you at dinner that night. I think you told at dinner that night.
That was the week.
Thank you for not making it to dinner. It was a perfect spot for me to just slide right in there. I appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome. I hope you enjoyed a first-class meal on Mike.
Oh, he did.
Of course I did. Sitting right next to Mike, too, cheersing him every time we ordered more beers. Absolutely. Of course,
yeah. It was a lot of fun. And we'll do it again because next month out comes the schedule. So I'll probably know the week I'll be coming down in I don't know, a few weeks.
I'll be waiting for you, Mike. I'll be waiting. I'll pick you up right at the airport. Don't worry. All right, my napkin in my t-shirt waiting for you.
That is the best. That is the best steakhouse in Florida. I don't care what anyone says. That is. I've never seen Aaron so happy. What did you order? That one thing. I was like, what the hell are you ordering? The pig fat horse browns or
the duck fat hash browns.
That's it.
Well done. We kept your order there on the table the year after.
We did get it this year. Right. I said, even though he's not here, it was kind of good. We're going to get it for Aaron, even though he's not here. And we did.
But did you get the escargot?
No escargot. No escargot.
No.
So what's going on here? See, it's more. I would think Raiders.
So the Raiders at 6 are drafting Ashton Genty.
Okay, so that's not a shock.
Right.
So right now, the top 6, maybe not in the order we thought,
which is actually really good, I think, for the Dolphins. I think that actually that's good. That keeps some of those other offensive linemen. It keeps obviously some of those other cornerbacks on track to fall to Miami. I think Membo is the one that you were maybe worried that might go there.
Yeah. Right. We want to see 2 tight ends go here before 13 would be nice to push someone else down. And if we can get maybe the Saints go nuts and take a quarterback, that'd be even greater. But I think the 2 tight ends is kind of what we're keeping an eye on. Warren will go for sure, I think. But does Loveland go prior to pick 13? I think it's possible.
I think it's
But
possible, but I also
can I throw a
I'm going to
question at
stand
you
by
three?
the idea that if one of them goes and one of them is still there at 13, the
Trade down.
Dolphins become an attractive trading spot.
Right.
Now, there's a report that Carolina is looking to trade out of the 8th pick, so they are looking to move back. I don't think that I don't know who wants to get up that high. Maybe Denver has eyes on somebody. He's going to move up that high.
San Francisco maybe wants
San
one of these
Francisco
offensive linemen.
potentially.
They might want one over the other. Like, let's get the guy we want.
Wow, I love how much fun is draft night? Like, honestly, draft
It
night
is.
for football fans is the best. I'll tell you what. I'll ask you three this: who's the next quarterback off the board? Is it Dart?
Next quarterback?
I don't care when. It could be in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
For all I care. But who's the next one off the board?
I got a sneaky suspicion it might be Dart.
Yeah,
everyone says that. I just got a sneaky. There's one team's going to fall in love with Dart, and I think Dart will go. And then I think Sanders will go right after him. I think they'll go like close to each other. But I got a feeling some team like maybe the Giants trade back up to 21, or maybe a team like Cleveland now with all these picks, they trade back into like 24, 25, whatever, and they take Dart over Sanders. Wouldn't be shocked at all.
I think it's going to be Sanders, but I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be late in the 1st round. The earliest I think it's going to happen the Saints could take a quarterback, but if the Saints don't take a quarterback, the earliest I can see it happening would be the Steelers at 21. Because if the Steelers don't want to deal with Aaron Rodgers, then they really don't have much of a choice at that point. They've got to take a quarterback. But I think the Steelers could also be a little bit gun shy after kind of reaching a little bit on Kenny Pickett a few years ago and missing. I think the Steelers could be like, well, do we really want to take a quarterback that doesn't have great upside, like peak upside? Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe the Steelers are the team that was rumored to be, that might go after Shuck.
Yeah, the Steelers are the team that is just in absolute quarterback hell right now. They're the team that just has absolutely failed to prepare for the next step after Ben Roethlisberger, and they made that pick. They drafted Kenny Pickett way too high, and it's just they have not recovered from that. And so now they're kind of flailing.
Why aren't they trading for Kirk Cousins? To me, that just makes the most sense. If I tell Rodgers to go screw and just trade for Kirk Cousins, I think Atlanta would probably part with him for something, nothing crazy. And if I'm Pittsburgh, that's probably their best chance because who else are they going to get? I'd rather have him than Rodgers. Rodgers is nuts.
Well, we all knew that before this draft happened, and probably the last 10 years of that. Anyway, you know what? I'm interested to see what the Steelers do there. If both quarterbacks are still on the board when the Steelers pick and they don't pick a quarterback, where are they going to go? Like at that point, like you're right. Like they're going to have to get Kirk Cousins. They're going to have to pull the trigger on one of these guys. What else they can do? They have Mason Rudolph start the season for them. Come on, that's
Skylar Thompson.
Right, like that's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. For the Steelers organization, is one of the best organizations there is in the NFL to not have they're going to shock everyone tonight. I don't think they leave tonight without a quarterback. Somehow, some way, they have to get a quarterback tonight. But I'd be shocked if they did.
Here's my question, though. They're kind of a win-now team. They got Metcalf. They got veterans. Like, are they going to want to go through growing pains with a rookie quarterback in that division? Like, I think they kind of need a veteran. If they take one, great. I won't want to play them. I mean, I don't want a veteran to go out there and try to win because that team.
You draft Shador and then trade a 4th round or 5th round pick for Kirk Cousins.
That's a plan. And then poor Skyler's going to be cut, but shit happens.
Right. Or do you draft a 5-year-old quarterback that's more ready to go week 1?
Yeah, yeah, possible. That's going to be interesting when. Okay, so we got the Jets are on the clock,
and they were a popular landing spot for Membu in mocks. Yeah. So this is an interesting moment here.
Yeah, so they took an offensive tackle last year, the kid from Penn State, who was very good. And if they take another one, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, that would be 2 very good picks for the Jets to get a left tackle and right tackle of the future for them. So that'd probably be a solid pick. And if they go Warren because they want a weapon, Can't knock that either. But
No,
it's the Jets. They could also take a long snapper out of South Dakota State and shock the world.
Oh, that makes me happy. God, I would set off the draft right now. I wouldn't even care who the Dolphins drafted.
We've got the pick. We've got the pick for the Jets. They are taking Missouri offensive tackle Armand Membu at pick number 7.
Okay, so the tackles are flying.
Right.
So that leaves Kelvin Banks.
So Banks is the only one left for the Dolphins to take at 13.
He's not the only one, but he's of that grouping of the top 3. There are some.
Yeah,
there's a kid from Oregon, Josh.
Oh, Connerly. Yeah, Connerly's out there too. But I think that's it. I think everybody else is, if they're looking to go offensive tackle, if Banks is not the guy, I think trading back is the option.
Yes. And there's also Josh
Jahdae Barron is the guy that a lot of people have their eyes on right now.
Yeah, and there's also the kid from Ohio State,
Simmons.
who, if he wasn't hurt last year, would have been the number 1 offensive tackle in this draft. And once again, mocks take him with a grain of salt. I know they mean nothing, but there's been a lot of mocks recently have him moving up to like middle round 1-ish, even pick 13-ish. So I don't think he's a fit for Miami, which means Greer's probably going to take him. Now that I just said that. Now that because I don't know, because he can play left tackle or right tackle, and supposedly he's healthy and clear. I just don't know if he can play guard, and if he can't play guard, what the hell are we doing?
He can play guard. In fact, if there's one knock on him aside from the injury, it's that similar to Will Campbell, his arm length has been critiqued, and so. What they say is like, if you've got all the talent in the world to play tackle, but your arms are a little bit shorter, you move him inside to guard and he'd be a good guard. He's got all the athletic traits to be there. So he's actually the perfect fit because not only could he play tackle, could play guard, he also is a Chris Greer special because he's coming off of a season-ending injury.
Here's a stat that I found hilarious. Put up just a few minutes ago from Joe Shad. Will Campbell, who just went to the Patriots, has a 77 3/8 inch wingspan with his arms out. 77 3/8. Patrick Paul, 86 1/4. He makes Will Campbell look small.
Good God, right?
No, that doesn't mean he's as good as Will Campbell. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying the wingspan difference is dramatic.
That's significant.
It is significant.
That's a significant number.
It is. Yeah, so you got the Jets. So now we're at 8. And folks, again, if you want a chance to win one of these great shirts that we sell at our store, I'm going to give away a couple. Let me share it on the screen right here. Fire Greer. If you want to win a couple shirts, send in a super chat question. We will prioritize it and we'll pick a winner or two and we'll give away some shirts tonight. Fire Greer shirts, which you can get at the DolphinsTalk.com store. Even if you don't win, just go to our website. Link leads you right there. Because really, even though it's the draft, Fire Greer.
Right. Is it weird that I'm in the show with you guys? I'm literally going to your website right now to buy one of the shirts.
We love to see it. See,
I need one for my stream so bad.
You got to do a screen share of the proof of purchase there, Zach.
Just give me a sec.
We'll also use this as an opportunity to plug Dolphins Talk Extra because it's that's a place where you can go for as little as $3 a month and get all kinds of bonus content surrounding your Miami Dolphins. And among the bonus content that you're going to be getting in this offseason is Aaron the Brain doing film breakdowns of each of the Dolphins' day 1 and 2 picks. So he's going to go back. He's not going to watch some of the film. He's not going to go watch a handful of games from their last year in college. He's going back. He's going to grind all the tape. He's going to watch every snap of those plays.
Josh went quiet there.
I'll take over for him. I'm going to watch every snap of these players' college careers, and then we'll have an episode dedicated to that player. So as much as I want the Dolphins to get an extra day 2 pick, because I think that'd be great for the team, selfishly, I wouldn't mind if they, kept the 3 picks because it would make my workload a lot lighter. But I'm going to enjoy doing that. I'm going to enjoy grinding the tape and bringing that to you guys because it's backed by popular demand, because I did it back in 2020 when we had all those picks, and I did it for every single pick. But that was peak quarantine. That was a different time. So this is going to be, a a much heavier schedule for me, but I can get it in for you guys, for the people on Dolphins Talk Extra.
So make sure you
$2
head
a
over
month.
for as
Yeah.
little as $3 a month, and you get access to our Discord channel. You get bonus podcasts, bonus shows, talking all kinds of things. We have interactive shows. We had our interactive mock draft that we did last week. Last night, we had our Dolphins Talk Happy Hour, which we're going to do every month, which is just an opportunity to get on the air with three of us and just, shoot the shit. We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. You drive the conversation. You get to come on. You get to decide what we're going to talk about. So join us. It's as little as $3 a month. We have a lot of fun, and we're going to have you covered all through the off season and all the way into the season. And then obviously once the season gets going, we'll be doing our live watch alongs and doing all kinds of other things over there at Dolphins Talk Extra. So subscribe. It's as little as $3 a month. Listen, you can cut back on the 1 cup of coffee a month.
Yeah, I agree.
I lied. I'm not getting a shirt. I'm going to have to buy 2 shirts now. So that's
And it comes in multiple colors, black, white, or gray.
No, I know. I think I'm getting gray and black. I think I
There
need
we
both
go.
at this point,
All
right.
right.
I'm also looking to see about getting one for Matthew. So there you go. Like me and Matthew.
There
have
you go,
that
yeah.
So
It-
I'm
it's
being
a gift
quiet
the whole
because I'm
family can
shopping,
enjoy.
All right, I'm shopping. That's why. Right.
It's a gift the whole family can enjoy.
Exactly. Right.
And folks, tomorrow night on Friday, when we are live, we will be joined by our Dolphins Talk promo girl, our Dolphins Talk correspondent, Dolph Freaky, on the ground, boots on the ground, Mike McCarthy way in Green Bay to give us a feel of what's going on in Wisconsin with the Cheeseheads. So tomorrow night, join us, and Dolph Freaky will pop on for a few minutes. And from Mike McCarthy way out there, some major tailgating happening. A lot of fans out there, obviously, as we see on TV. There's a ton of fans out there. I mean, look, I like the draft. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if I could show up to a draft in person. To me, it just seems like kind of boring. Like in person to stand outside and hear names, just right off an index card. But that's me. But I know a lot of people go there and have a lot of fun.
Can I tell you this? I went and covered one draft in all my years in sports radio. I covered one draft in New York, and it was the year you guys were all. I'm just waiting for the laughter from the three of you. It was the year the Dolphins took Jason Allen. Okay, Anquan Bolden was still on the board, right? Like this is the draft I covered, and I was such a fan at the time of just the NFL in general, outside of the fact I was just getting into sports radio and all that. That Charles Johnson was the wide receiver that was picked 3rd overall to Detroit. I think it was Charles Johnson. I think
Charles
Yes,
Rogers.
that was right because Matt Millen.
Oh,
all
Rogers,
those
Charlie
years.
Rogers. That's what it was. Rogers, right?
Charles Johnson was catching for the Dolphins or the Marlins, rather.
Marlins, right. I bought a Rogers jersey the next day, a Detroit Rogers jersey, because I met his whole family while I was covering a draft, and his uncle was wearing a full Carolina blue suit, head to toe, and the insides were matching with the kid's name. I bought his jersey the next day. I thought he was going to be the next best superstar. I don't think he lasted very long in the NFL, but I had his jersey for a very long time.
We got some good news here, guys.
The Dolphins picked Jason Allen. What a pick.
We got some news here I think might help Miami out because I didn't know if this guy was going to go top 12 or not.
Oh, wow.
But
Wow.
The Panthers took Tet McMillan, wide receiver. Now, some people had him going to the Cowboys at 12, so he might have gone top 12 anyways. But the Panthers taking him, if now the Cowboys go wide receiver, Matthew Golden maybe, and that's going to push someone, maybe Jelon Walker, who, again, might be a controversial pick for some, not for us on this podcast. We love us some Walker. That might push him down to Miami, and we know Chris Greer loves that type of player. So this is good. Yeah, so that kind of helps Miami here, especially if the Cowboys stick at wide receiver and take like a Matthew Golden at 12 maybe. So, yeah, Panthers, a little bit of a surprise. Not too much, though, because they got young and they needed help on the outside. But everyone thought they'd be going on the other side of the ball, I guess.
They do need to help out that quarterback. So
yeah, they do. Because he was pretty good last year. Not awful.
Yeah. They also, the Carolina Panthers set the record for most points allowed this season. So it is surprising that they didn't go on the defensive side with, some really good players available. But, they must have really loved the wide receiver, which I think is a huge help here for the Dolphins. Like you were just saying, because with the offensive linemen starting to go off the board, with Mason Graham getting picked, you start looking at like if what you really want when you're sort of rebuilding this thing is to rebuild it in a different way than what the Dolphins had done previously, you want to see them build in the trenches and get bigger and stronger. Well, as the bigger, stronger interior guys start to fall off, then you might end up in a position where you have to go, if the best player on your board is a cornerback, while it could still be a really good pick, it doesn't help you in that getting bigger and stronger in the trenches. I think that at the end of the day, even if the Dolphins ended up taking like Jahdae Barron at 13, it doesn't mean that they're not going to get bigger and stronger in the trenches. It just puts that much more of an onus on them doing it in day 2. But with the Panthers taking McMillan, it's another team that could have gone after a bigger guy like a Jalen Walker, who I think could step right in, be an edge rusher that can put his hand in the dirt, a la either a Jalen Phillips or a Bradley Chubb, could step in for either of those guys if they're out, or potentially replace either of those guys when the Dolphins move on from them, which they're going to move on from at least one.
Right. All right. Now I just have to figure out how to share this because my order is confirmed. My Fire Greer shirt is on its way. I even did the expedited shipping because I need it as soon as possible.
Let's go.
Wear that on one of your breaks. Wear that somebody on one of the breaks. People are like, what the hell is this Fire Greer thing?
Right. Well,
It's a Miami thing.
I'm going to be wearing it. Like, that's it.
It's a Miami thing.
I just ordered a T-shirt. If the credit card thing rings, I just got to tell her I just ordered a T-shirt.
Is there any way it could be ordered and delivered within the next hour? Because we might need it in about 45
I didn't see
minutes.
that option, Aaron. If I saw that option, I would have taken it. I promise at that point. Maybe we could have got something expedited through Caneswear at that point. Whatever we could have done, we could have done it right there. Right? Exactly.
I did send one too when we first made them. I sent one to Frank the Tank, and Frank the Tank opened it live on a stream. And I wish he was wearing it last week when he went on that epic rant. I wish he was wearing it during that rant where he's dropping 4-letter bombs. This guy can't get fired no matter what the F he does. That whole thing. If he was wearing that shirt during that rant, it would have been great. But he has worn it. I think he wore it for a couple of the last games at the end of last year. So if you're watching the stream on Barstool, you see Frank wearing it with a Fire Greer shirt. It's hilarious.
Hashtag nincompoop.
Yes, nincompoop. I love that guy.
Frank the Tank is epic. He's such a good fan. I love it.
That should be the fan of the year. That's a guy who wears it on his sleeve, shows up every week. I don't care how much money you raise for charity. Frank the Tank, fan of the year. It's over the top, yes, but he verbalizes the frustration that the vast majority of the fan base has in a very colorful way.
But Mike, do we have to worry about him announcing the draft pick if he doesn't like it if we send him to the draft? Right?
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be right.
Here comes
Chris
Frank
Greer,
walking up to the podium.
nincompoop. Just
Right.
I gotta read this name off.
Right. He walks up to the podium with the card. He walks up and he's like, I can't bleeping believe this, but let me announce it. The Miami Dolphins, the idiots, and Chris Greer have just drafted blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what? As a matter of fact, that's my vote next year. My vote's for Frank the Tank. He's going to be.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
Right.
It'd be awesome.
That's it.
Yeah, that'd be great. So where are we at? We're at pick 9.
So
Saints,
we're at
this
pick
could
9.
be interesting.
So this is the Saints. This is a wild card
Take
spot
Dart.
here, I think. This is a place where we could have a shock because this would be, I think it would be a surprise if Dart went this high.
Yeah, it would be. But you never know. I mean, you got a first-year head coach, offensive-minded head coach. So, but they need help in the secondary too. So I think one of the corners are in play here because they need a lot of help in the secondary.
Yeah, this is a Will Johnson moment. It's a Jahdae Barron moment. This is a really interesting spot for the Dolphins. This was, I think, what we agreed.
9 and 11. 9 and 11 are the two
for us.
Yeah, 9 and 11. So this is going to be interesting to see what they do. If you're Miami, you're still sitting good here because I think most of the names that people thought, like Banks is there, Grant's there, Starks is there, Will Johnson, and Jahdae Barron. And we're at 9. You would think those 5 are all won't be gone by 13.
Josina Anderson reports the Saints are not picking a quarterback here. She's not saying who they are picking, but she's saying that they're not picking. They're not.
Now I wonder if Walker might be their pick there too, because maybe they didn't think he'd be there. Now he's there. So
it'd be an interesting one. How about this? The Saints are drafting Kelvin Banks Jr. at number 9.
Yeah, that's a good pick for them.
All right.
Good pick for them. So 3 offensive tackles in the top 10. those offensive tackles flew off the board.
Wow.
Flew.
Well, I think that to me that it feels pretty clear to me that the Dolphins are now going to be in good shape to go defense here. I think one of those cornerbacks is going to be available for them.
Or is that Gray Zabel report from Steve Weish that came out like an hour or two before the draft? Did he know something? And that's what we're going to find out too. Because Gray Zabel, most people, he's going to go somewhere, but 13.
I feel like Gray Zabel is going to be a very disappointing pick for a lot of people, myself included.
Same here. I mean, is it a bad pick? Not necessarily. No buzz. If it's Gray Zabel, that's not a buzzy pick. Right. No buzz with that pick. That's like that's a plain white bagel, guys, right there. That's a plain white bagel. Gray Zabel. No fancy cream cheese. No raisins.
I'm hoping right now one of these teams gets desperate. And now a couple of these other guys come off, and then all of a sudden the Dolphins, maybe they get a couple phone calls. Maybe they at 13 somebody gets desperate. I think by 11, if somehow, some way, Shador comes off or even Dart comes off, I think the Dolphins might be in prime spot for another team to get desperate and try to go up to 13. I wouldn't be upset if they traded down at this point if they're going to get something for him. I mean, you're not going to get a haul like obviously the Browns got, but how about an extra, maybe an extra 2 and 3, maybe an extra 1 next year? Maybe somebody gets desperate at this point. The more quarterback, if those two guys are still there, Chris Greer could start making phone calls. Forget about somebody making calls to him. He could start making calls at that point. I would love to see that. I'd love to see them move down and get some more. I would like that at this point. Unless, I don't know. I'm not in love with any of these guys. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah. I think we're getting to that point in the draft where the tight ends start coming off the board.
Right.
And, like I said, if you're sitting at like 14, like the Colts, or 18, like the Broncos, or 22, like the Chargers, and these are the teams that are rumored to like a tight end, and one of these guys goes, they might start getting a little bit antsy. And that's where I think the Dolphins could have a good trade down opportunity. Wow. So I'm looking at we got the Bears right now at 10. They could go defense, but they could go an offensive weapon for Caleb.
Oh, this is a big wide receiver spot here. I think
Warren.
I would go. I would if I was them.
Tight end.
Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland would probably be my pick based on the guys that are available.
Here's the thing too with Warren. If he doesn't go here, he's in play at 13. Because I don't think the Cowboys will touch him, and I don't think San Fran's going to touch him. San Fran could, I think, but Warren's in play if he doesn't go to Chicago. And I know, once again, fans of Dolphins will be like, it's not really a need. Well, Jonnu Smith I think he's just turned 30 or will turn 30. It's last year of his deal. And if the goal is over the next 2 years, this is Tyreek's last year. If you're going to lose a weapon, you better add a weapon. And I know it's not the same type of position, but if you're going to lose a weapon, better add a weapon. I know it wouldn't make sense. Fans would be upset. Not this year. We got offensive line, secondary, defense. But Warren's so good. And if you are someone who believes best player available, well, you can't be that part-time. You can't be that some of the time. You got to be that all the time. And that's Tyler Warren.
I wouldn't be in love with that pick.
I wouldn't be in love with the pick as much as the player is. There's certainly something that player could add to the offense, but again, it's more icing on the cake when you need cake.
Exactly. Yes. A lot of frosting, a lot of sprinkles, no actual freaking cake.
Right. So let's see. I'm just waiting to see that Bears pick come through. Hasn't come through yet.
And I agree on Warren. It wouldn't be the pick I love, but I'd also understand it. And what you will see, mark my words, the analytics nerds, the people who fall in love with the process of the draft, they're going to prop up that pick till the cows come home when we know the house is on fire and you just saved the lawn chair. That's what essentially that pick is. And it would be I wouldn't see it as controversial, but I think a lot of fans would, which on social media with the Dolphins, if they wouldn't be fighting about this, they'd be fighting about 10 other things. So who the hell cares at the end of the day, I guess.
Right.
So just waiting on this pick to come through. It's really starting to get interesting now. It's really starting to get good now.
I like this.
We're getting close.
Finally started. Right. That's it.
We are very close to being guaranteed one of those cornerbacks being on the board at 13, which was, I think, the dream scenario.
And Grant, too. I wouldn't throw out, because Grant is in play, I think, too, because obviously Zach Sealer, nobody else next to him. And I'm not counting Jones because he stinks on toast. They got Zach Sealer and nobody else. So I think Grant and the two corners are kind of where we're starting to narrow in a little bit.
Looks like it's going to be a tight end off the board here.
Okay. Wouldn't be shocked.
Albert Breer says Colston Loveland's going to be the first tight end off the board.
Whoa!
Whether that means he's going to Chicago or not remains to be seen. But
no, he's going to Chicago. That's the pick. And Dante Collinelli and myself on our draft shows, I kept telling him, I go, look, there's a lot of buzz about Loveland. A lot of buzz about Loveland.
Colston Loveland.
I got to message Dante.
How about that? So there it is. Colston Loveland off the board. So it's San Francisco at 11 and Dallas at 12 before the Dolphins at 13.
This has got to be Jalen Walker.
Right. You got to think it, right?
I would think Walker, Warren, if they're going to trade George Kittle, though, which is rumored this weekend, they're going to trade George Kittle. Warren's a natural replacement. They really wanted, though, one of those offensive tackles to replace Trent Williams long term. Now, take a reach on one here. Not reach, but it would take someone like a Josh Simmons or whatever. So I think he's in play. And then one of the corners as well. So this is going to get interesting here real quick for the Dolphins. Zach, you got to run. I appreciate it.
I hear my kid running around the house. Plus,
thanks for joining. Same time tomorrow.
I don't want to throw up.
I'll send you a link tomorrow. I will send you a link tomorrow night. Feel free to join if you got a few minutes. We'll have more fun. All right. Take care, Zach.
I'll see you guys.
See you, Zach. Take it easy.
I'll be breaking cards in the morning. If anybody's interested, that's what I'll be.
Have fun.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So, yeah, this draft is now we're picking up here with Miami.
It's really getting interesting now.
I just messaged Dante because we went back and forth about those tight ends. I go, look, I'm not saying, and it's not that he was wrong. He wasn't wrong.
Wow. How about this? The 49ers are going to be taking Georgia defensive end Michael Williams at number 11.
Whoa. Okay. This
wow.
worked out great for Miami. This worked out great for the Fins. Come on, Greer. Don't F this up.
Wow.
So now the Cowboys, here's what this means. Because the Cowboys won't take Walker. They just paid Micah Parsons. I'd be very surprised. Walker's he'll be there. Tyler Warren's going to be there. Zabel, if you're a Zabel guy, he'll be there. And probably the two corners will be there, as well as Malachi Starks and Grant. So Greer, if he can trade down, this would be a prime spot to trade down because there's a lot of guys here. Now, don't trade down too far. But if you trade down a little bit, it's okay. Okay. Business is picking up here.
Yeah. Wow. This is getting very exciting here.
This first round is not your typical first round. This has got a little bit of juice to it here. Get some surprises tonight. I like this.
Everybody was kind of expecting this to be fairly chalky, and I would not say that it has been chalky really at all. I mean, a little bit, but not really. I mean,
all right, people are asking.
And May 14th, mark your calendars. May 14th is the schedule release.
Here's how you win a prize tonight. You got to send in a super chat question. Send in a super chat question, and anyone who does, they'll have a chance to win. Now, look, we got a very special guest joining us right when Miami's on the clock. And I see he's wearing the team uniform as well. And he is part of the team for life. As always, welcome, Big E. Ian Berger's in the house in the polo shirt. Big E, what's up, buddy?
Let's go!
I have to make one observation right now, though. Josh, I don't think I've ever seen you without a Dolphins hat on, man. This is a first.
I know. I think I've only done like 2 or 3 shows ever without a hat on, and but I got a haircut. I'm looking good.
Nice. Yeah, you're looking great, man. You're looking all right. Let me get the glasses on so I look serious because Dolphins are on the clock, right? We're ready.
Not yet. We're close though.
Close. So, are you guys going by the TV? Or are you getting the behind the scenes off of the Twitter?
Aaron, I'll send it to you right now. I saw it. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good guys out there. So, Aaron, what do you need exactly?
Oh, just the login for StreamYard. My
Okay.
computer, for some reason, is not charging the way that it
All right.
should. So I might end up having to log in on my phone.
I will send you everything you need right now via text. Give me 1 second. And you guys can talk, Vamp, as I search for Aaron's text.
Yes. Well, so while that happens, so Big E, let's talk about it. This is an exciting spot here for the Dolphins because there are a lot of really nice options that are going to be on the board for them when they come up at 13, including potentially both of the big cornerbacks, Will Johnson and Jahdae Barron. This is exciting. Do you have a personal favorite that you would like to see the Dolphins go with at 13?
I'm going to stick with Jahdae as we talked about during the DolphinsTalk.com podcast last night, and I think there are some questions with Will Johnson right now as far as his knees and how long he's going to be able to stay around, and unfortunately the Dolphins are all too familiar with injured players, through the many seasons. So get somebody who's not been injured, get somebody who's going to be an impact player from day one. Hearing what we heard today about Jalen, that he's not playing for the Dolphins ever again. It sounds like we definitely need a cornerback, and we need to take somebody who's going to start from day one. And Cam Smith, I don't think he's going to be the guy. So, my opinion.
I'm with you.
Yes,
I'm with you. I think a lot of fans are with you on that one. So, yeah, we'll see here what they do coming up here. Waiting on who's up. San Francisco. San
Fran is on the clock.
Could go in many different directions. They're a team that's lost a lot of players. So we'll see what San Fran does. I think Tyler Warren, that's the thing. If they don't take Warren.
Well, no, we know what San Francisco is doing.
Yeah,
we
they
said
took
that
Michael Williams. Yeah.
We saw that it was going to be
right.
Williams.
I'm sorry. Now it's the Cowboys. Cowboys. My bad. Yeah, we'll see what the Cowboys do here. It's going to be interesting.
Oh, I see. We got another special guest.
Oh, we got another special guest. We got Josh Moser.
Moser's in the house.
What's up, guys?
Oh, look at this. Josh Moser in the house.
Oh, you guys want to see the Dolphins facility? Here, let's see. We got a class.
Oh, he's at the Dolphins facility. Now you're just bragging, man. That's awesome.
We got a class in here. But
media room. Look at that.
Yeah,
behind
we're
the scenes.
Kind of waiting. I don't know. There's a lot of names on the board left, everybody. I think it's a good opportunity to trade back. I think this is a good move to trade back. But
actually, we didn't talk about that. That makes a lot of sense. Trade back.
Yeah.
You're still going to get one of the top cornerbacks in the league, that are still on the board. Why not?
Makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of options. What's the buzz over there, Josh? Is there any buzz? What's the consensus? What are the guys saying there in the media room?
I mean, we're all kind of sitting here, and we all kind of have the same feeling of it doesn't matter what they do; they still need so much. It's
I know.
Gonna matter. It's terrible to even say that, but that's kind of the reality of where we're at. I mean, Mike, we kind of talked about this the other day, and there's this consensus in there too. It's like you need 3 players out of this draft that can come and start week 1. So if you can move down to get another 2nd or 3rd round pick this year and still keep a 1st round pick, just move down 4 or 5 slots, like that would be the move. But again, like if this kid Barron is there from Texas, he can play inside, he can play outside. We were talking about Will Campbell, the corner from Michigan, just the injury history, and now his knees come up. We're also hearing that maybe a 5th round pick for Jalen Ramsey. So, you need a corner. And we know that Chris Greer just doesn't take safeties in the 1st round as much as we'll see if Malachi Starks is still here in 3 picks, because he might be. If Starks is on the board, I would love to see him take him. But we'll see what happens. But you need an impact player that can start day 1. And just at this point, you've got 4 or 5 guys that each one should fall to you. Just hope that you pick the right one and that player doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, staying healthy. And I think, you got the 2 corners. You got Grant, if you want to find some help for Zach Sealer, put him next there. You got Starks at safety. And, of course, the name Gray Zabel's out there. It's in the atmosphere. It's out there. And I know it's not the most exciting pick in the world. North Dakota State, guard, that whole thing. But does it fill a need? Yes.
Yeah,
Jalen
and
Walker's
I mean,
still there.
Jalen Walker as well. Yeah, Jalen Walker.
It's so tough on the guys from the small FCS schools. I mean, it's just such a risk, but you just hope that you can hit. But you've got a great offensive line coach here. You have an immediate need that you need. I know everyone loves Liam Eichenberg, and he's the swing guard, center, tackle, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think, like, I mean, we just brought up 6 names, and we're coming up here pretty soon. So I think you can move back 3-4 spots. It's just a question of what can you actually get for it. But any of these players, I think, would be a good pick for the Dolphins. It's just, again, can they stay healthy? But if you can get a pick in the process, I think that'd be the biggest one at this point.
So here's the question I have. I have a question for you guys because Tyler Warren's still going to be there. It looks like
that's what Orlowski just put up on Twitter. If he's there, Warren, Miami has to take him.
Here's my thought on that. I think he's a very talented player. It would obviously be a great guy to have on the roster. The problem is the Dolphins have so many needs currently on the team. Are they reacting to the fact that the Panthers are about to beat the Lightning right now? Is that what's going on there in the press?
Goal just scored. Yeah. 2-0.
So I just think the Dolphins are a team that the way that I've used the metaphor that I've used previously is that the Dolphins are a team that has a plate full of icing and does not have enough cake. And right now the Dolphins need to bake the cake. They need to get more ingredients so that they can have cake to put the icing on. Tyler Warren is more icing to put on the cake without actually having a cake.
Per Josh, the Baker Catsker.
Thank you.
Time to make the donuts.
Yeah. Panthers final 2-0, just in case.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got Johnny Smith, you've got Julian Hill. You really just don't want to get a premium position. But again,
Farrell Brown.
Yeah, Farrell Brown. I mean, look, it's just you have other needs. And if you have other needs, get another pick in the process. I'm not saying that, Tyler Warren is Brock Bowers, but if you feel that he's Brock Bowers, you can't leave a good player there. And I mean, I'm going to bring up the name just because, I know that we don't need a quarterback, but I mean, this Shedeur Sanders thing is just really interesting to me. I mean, I'm curious to see how far he slides.
Would that be a shocker?
The draft.
Yes.
It's I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Steelers. He's a perfect fit for them, and Mike Tomlin would definitely keep him in line. Mike Tomlin is a phenomenal coach. You talk to players around the league. There's very few people that would not want to play for that man. But yeah, I don't know. This is crazy to me. And still, even Travis Hunter, that was a great move. The Jags, but they didn't speak to him since the combine. Like, they haven't spoken to him once, and they went and traded up to get him. They gave a lot to get him.
Vintage Jaguars.
I think the Browns won that trade, but getting that additional first-round pick next season too, that's going to be huge.
Yeah,
huge. And I think they got. Did they take Graham? I think they took Mason Graham, 5th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they gladly take that. But if Hunter's Hunter, I mean, yeah, we'll see. But I'll hop back on after the pick. We'll see what happens here, and then if we get any rumblings from Mike McDaniel, if he pokes his head in, I'll stream it live.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
That's good, Josh.
Later.
See you,
buddy. Good to see you.
Bye.
Big A, we love you.
Thanks, man.
Oh,
we're both trying
Everyone's
to add the brain back to the call at the same time.
Cats go.
There he is.
Of course, now my Twitter's not posting right now. It's dying on us.
Yeah, I think social media is this is probably one of the crazier days for social media, with everything happening tonight, and obviously more so tonight. Although I do enjoy Friday night a little bit more, because I think those are like the picks where you really have your team built. Rounds 2 and 3, you got a couple rounds, not just one round. This round is more like red carpet affair. This is like the elites, but then when you get to rounds 2 and 3, those are like your lunch pail guys. And Josh stepped away for a second. Yeah, so waiting on this Cowboys pick here. Yeah, here's the deal. People are asking, oh, baby, Cowboys took Tyler Booker. Dolphins
have
so
everybody
right now
who they
for
want.
the Dolphins, you have a plethora from tight end to Gray Zabel to Walker, Barron, Johnson, Grant, Harmon, Starks, where I think you cannot go wrong. I say that knowing it's Chris Greer making the pick, and something can always go wrong. So this is going to be interesting right now for your Miami Dolphins, who are on the clock.
Here we go.
Unofficially, yes. And if you're asking who it's going to be, there are Twitter accounts who have the picks like 1 or 2 picks ahead. And if you go on Twitter, they're easy to find. So that's where they are. And again, and we had this talk today. Do you tip the picks, spoil the picks? There's no way around this. In this technology era where you got multiple networks and you got all this stuff, the picks are out there and not everyone's going to be watching on the same thing. So once we see the picks, we share the picks. If that upsets you, I'm sorry, then probably turn us off. But there's no right way to do this and make everyone happy. So, so the Cowboys took Tyler Booker, Josh.
Yes, I heard that. That's exciting.
So Miami's on the clock right now, and we will see what they do. Again, there's a plethora of picks here. And what I'm doing if I'm Chris Greer is I'm calling the Indianapolis Colts, who wanted a tight end this entire process, and Loveland's gone. And I'm going to say, we got Tyler Warren, you pancake-eating MFer. What do you want to give up to get Tyler Warren? And it might not be much, but to move down one spot, even if they lied to us and they took someone else and not Warren, who cares? If they want Warren bad enough, I'd say give us something, a fourth. It's only one spot. Can't get too much for it. And I take it from him, slide down one spot.
I still think I tend to think the best move in this situation is still the trade down. But
I agree.
I mean, you've got so many options that it's like I said at the very beginning of the night, it's going to be hard to go wrong here.
It is. If they stay at 13, which who knows, but there's like 5 names: Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron, Malachi Starks, Grant, Zabel, Warren. There's more than 5 actually. You got Warren, and even if they want to take the offensive tackle from Oregon, go for it. I mean, there's names. You want to take the offensive tackle from Ohio State, Simmons. There's names who are all worthy of going here. So we'll probably know real soon what's going on. Because this, the one I'm looking at on social media is about 1 pick ahead, and they just announced the Cowboys pick. And here's Miami with 7 minutes left already. So
this is where we remember Gray Zabel was said by Steve Weish to be the lock of the night to go to the Dolphins here at 13. So just reminding you that was something that was said. So I don't know that I would necessarily be in favor of that pick here. But again, it wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen.
Wouldn't be the worst thing. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, that's a solid 6. That's not bad, but it's not like close to a 10. It's like that is your quintessential, Josh, as you guys say, a plain white bagel. That's Gray Zabel. It'll have the job be done, but it's no fancy cream cheese. It's no fancy lox. It's no fancy tasting French toast bagel. No, that's not even a pumpernickel. That's a plain white bagel right there, which it'll probably get the job done, but let's just call it what it is.
Brain, how you feeling?
Well, my computer crapped out. Did the Dolphins pick somebody?
Nope,
not
yet.
yet.
We're on the clock. About 6
Okay.
minutes left.
To me, it'd be very hard to pass up on Jalen Walker here.
I know.
I think you're getting a really good defensive player that could play edge. He could play some off-ball linebacker. He's a defensive weapon. The same way Jahdae Barron can be a multi-tool weapon for the back, for your secondary, this guy could be a multi-tool weapon for your front seven. I don't think you could go wrong either way. I would not take a tight end, to Josh's point. I just think, to me, it's not about other needs, because I want to take the best player available, but tight end, best player available is not to me, when you start talking about the tight end position, the positional value is just so low on the totem pole that this would have to be a generational player for me to warrant him going here. And if he was that generational a player, I don't think he's falling to them at 13 and not even being the first tight end off the board.
Yeah, I agree, but we'll see what Greer does. It's going to be interesting.
I think the Dolphins are taking their time, because I think they're calling a bunch of teams saying, "Hey guys, you want to come up? Let's talk."
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
Yeah,
I agree, Ian. I agree.
And if they can move down and get any sort of day 2 capital, it's a win. I mean, provided how far down.
Yeah.
do they have to fall? Like, to me, I'd be okay with moving into the 20s. If you're moving all the way down to like the Rams at 26, who have been rumored to really have interest in Warren or Loveland, then, that's got to be quite the package to move down 13 picks. So I'd like to see what the Dolphins can do. I would love to see them trade back if they keep the pick. Right now, I'm probably going either Jahdae Barron or Jalen Walker. Of course, if they're not concerned about the injury to Will Johnson, that like before this news of his injury concern, Will Johnson would be a no-brainer pick right here. So I would understand that pick entirely, but I'd be very scared given Chris Greer's history with injury-prone players.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, it seems like the Dolphins are trying to trade down. I mean, it certainly makes sense for them given the picks given the players on their board who are all still there. It makes sense for that to be something to do. The thing is, I think this is the problem here that we've got. Patrick Mullen says, if they don't take Warren, fire them now, is what Patrick Mullen says as he super chats that to us.
Patrick, you're going to get a Fire Greer t-shirt regardless. You're one of our winners tonight. You're getting a Fire Greer shirt.
So
pick is in.
Did not trade. Pick is definitely
there is no
in.
trade.
Yep.
So they've made a pick. I'm waiting to see who the pick is. Now, it's really interesting that this is the one pick all night that hasn't been reported on early.
Which means they probably tried to trade it. Then they're going to
defensive tackle, guys.
Make a pick.
I also wouldn't be mad at a defensive tackle.
That's who we got.
We got Grant.
It's Kenneth Grant from Michigan. The Dolphins. I'm going to say that they've gone and reached a little bit here to draft Kenneth Grant at 13, but they've addressed the defensive tackle. They've addressed defense, and Michigan's Kenneth Grant is coming to the Miami Dolphins at 13. This feels like a reach to me, but it also feels like there were no takers for them to move back. And I don't know. My gut is that this was not the right pick to make here with those cornerbacks that were available.
With this pick, it tells me one thing. They were hell-bent on taking a tackle at 13, no matter who was on the board. That's what it tells me.
That's what it feels like.
That's what it tells me. They were hell-bent on taking a tackle at 13, no matter what.
What it tells me is that they wanted to get bigger and stronger in the trenches. And even on the outside, the question about Jahdae Barron as a pick has always been his size, his length. Yeah, you can move him around, but if the Dolphins are a team that we've criticized for being soft and overly finesse, and they need to get bigger and stronger, while I do think this is a player that potentially they could have gotten later in the draft, if you don't have a taker to trade down, then you can't take him later in the draft. So you have to, if you're hell bent on getting better in the trenches, getting bigger and stronger, this was the top guy on their board to get bigger and stronger in the trenches. So I understand this pick. I don't hate it. I don't love it value wise. Could they have moved back, potentially, but it's, again, you got to have a partner to dance. So to me, they got themselves a good defensive tackle that they're going to put next to Zach Sealer, and it's a guy that can play every down. And so by doing that, you've got two defensive tackles that can play every down, which you did not have, and Christian Wilkins was sorely missed last year. And even though, Calais Campbell played great last year, he was on a snap count, and you could only count on him for like 30, 35 snaps a game. And when he wasn't in there, or Zach Sealer wasn't in there, they had major problems on the interior. Now you've got two interior defensive tackles that can be every down guys, and you don't need to have 5-6 guys that are specialists and whatnot. You got those two guys that never have to come out of the game. If you can get one more D tackle somewhere in day 2 or day 3 of this draft that you can count on to be a rotational piece, you've solved the interior of your defensive line.
Yep, totally agree. And with these corners falling, what it means is tomorrow at pick 48, there might be one for Miami there. Like one of the ones who are have some quality to them, let's just say. Because there's a lot of corners in this draft, and it was expected, and it still might happen, where at the top of round 2, late round 1, top of round 2, there might be a run on corners. And if that gets pushed off a little, if these guys continue to fall, that's going to be a very good thing for the Dolphins in that maybe Trey Amos falls to pick 48. Maybe the kid from Kentucky falls to 48. And they can address that position there. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. And, I mean, again, they have nothing on the defensive line. And they sort of – this pick reminds me of the year they took Juwan James in round 1 because they ignored offensive line all of March and April. And they're like, we don't have a right tackle. Take Juwan James. That's exactly what they did.
Well, I will tell you the happiest person tonight is probably Zach Sealer. He was basically on an island on the defensive line. So he's going to get a little extra help. And, we'll see. It does not feel like this name was on anybody's radar because I think a lot of people
a little too early. I think a lot of people
exactly.
thought.
It's a reach. It's a reach. This is a guy that, it feels like they made like Mike said earlier, Ian, I think they made the decision that they wanted to have a defensive tackle, and I'm sure they tried to trade back, but there weren't any takers. There were a few other teams ahead of them that wanted to trade back, but didn't get any takers. And so it feels like, you can criticize them all you want for, not trading back, but you need a partner to do that with. And, so I think picking Grant here at 13 is not the right move because I think it would have been a better value to go with one of those two cornerbacks. You got the dream scenario with both of the cornerbacks falling to you. So I'm going to be honest. I'm a little disappointed with the pick. I'm not saying it's a disaster, but it feels like this was a disappointing decision.
I think he'll be a good player. So I think if fans are like, really, I think he will be a good player. So I don't want fans to think it's all like, oh my God, I can't believe. No, I think he's going to be okay. This guy. It's just you would have hoped they could have been able to trade back maybe and probably still get this kid a little bit. But this is the pick. I don't think it's a bad pick by any means. It's just I think most fans are kind of hopeful they could go somewhere else a little bit. But overall, look, they needed help there badly. And that's what it is. That's all this is at the end of the day. So, yeah, Kenneth Grant. I think we should hang on for a few more picks here. See what goes on here.
No, interesting question is, what are the chances that the Dolphins are going to try and trade back into the first round and pick up one of these players that they still have? That
I don't know what they got to trade. That's the problem.
And you'd probably have to trade something in 2026 to be able to move up like that, and maybe with a mixture of something from this season. But it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. The problem is I just don't know what they have to trade because they really need their picks on Friday. Their 2 picks on Friday. And honestly, tomorrow night, maybe they try to trade down from pick 48 and get an extra pick. I'd be very careful with that, though, because at pick 48, they're going to need so many guys to start. I'd be careful trading down in the top 100. But Grant next to Zach Sealer replenishes that line up front. They still need to add someone in this draft, like you said, and they'll probably try to add a street free agent, maybe a John Jenkins or maybe a Zadarius Smith or maybe whoever. Something like that I think they're going to try and add. But this isn't the only one they're going to take here in this draft. That's for damn sure. They're going to draft another defensive tackle because they need so much help on that position. But next round, you're probably looking corner, offensive line maybe.
I still think they're going to try and depending on who's available, but I still think that the cornerback is still that next huge position of need. You got to fill that, especially you're going to have Kader Kohu with the back there by himself. And
it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
I don't need to be Ron Jaworski to say that ain't good.
This is Storm Duck erasure.
Yeah, that's not good.
What about Artie Burns?
Artie Burns.
I think there's still a good chance they're going to also go DT again at 48. I mean, it's a position that
Possible.
It is a position of need for them. So
Alfred Collins.
Alfred Collins is, if Alfred Collins is there, although the way, the way the tackles have gone, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was gone by the time they came back up. But
I'm hoping that offensive lineman from Georgia, Donovan Jackson's there, because that's a guy who obviously takes over. He is so stinking good as a guard, but also when Simmons went down, they moved him to left tackle, and he pretty much won them the national championship because he was so good at left tackle. Although he's not really a left tackle in the pros, but in a pinch, he can play it, which is great. And at guard, I think he's the type of guard you can sort of pencil in there, and it'd be like, whoa, this guy's really good. It is close if he's going to be there. Some mocks got him going late round 1. Some mocks got him going like 44, 45, 46. So just before our pick, if he ever got to 48, which again, you never know with these drafts. Look tonight, Warren fell. He's not even the first. Guys fall. If he fell to 48, that would be huge. I think if you put him at one guard and the guy we signed from Pittsburgh at the other guard, it would really transform this offensive line. Look, you still have to hope for offensive tackles, one who's always hurt and one we don't know. But I think he'd be a plug-and-play guy in the trenches who would help. So that's one name I'm going to be looking at Friday night for Miami.
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, this pick shows you what the Dolphins are trying to do, because this was a draft by need. Because I'm not going to believe anything they say about if they come out and they say Kenneth Grant was the top guy on their board. They're going to probably say that. I can almost guarantee you that Chris Greer is going to say that. I don't believe that this was we're taking Kenneth Grant because Kenneth Grant is the best player available. They took Kenneth Grant because they wanted to get bigger and stronger in the trenches, and they wanted to take either a guard or a defensive tackle, or an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, and he was the best offensive or defensive lineman on their board.
It is worth noting that Kevin Dern did a post, and he just reshared it. But a couple days ago, he laid out his top 5 picks for the Dolphins at 13. Number 1 was Kenneth Grant.
Nice.
Yeah. And the thing is about this pick, I know people are going to say it's a reach, and I'm not going to necessarily argue that it was a little bit of a reach. But when we started this thing, before anybody was on the clock, Mike, you came on here and you asked the question, what do we want to see the Dolphins do at 13? We're not going to be able – don't swing for the fences. Hit a solid double.
Yeah,
to me,
what they did.
Kenneth Grant is going to be a solid double. He is going to be a solid starter for this team. He is going to be a big, strong, every down defensive tackle. I don't think he's going to be a bust. Do I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl player? No. Would you love to have drafted a Pro Bowl player at 13? Yes. And that's where, if you find fault in this pick, I would agree with you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this was an A-plus pick, but I think they got themselves a solid player. And this tells me that in this sort of, however you want to call it, soft reset, rebuild, whatever terminology you want to use, they're doing something a little bit different, and they're trying to focus on getting bigger and stronger in the trenches. And that tells me that when we get to round 2, as much as I would love to see them draft a corner, you got to see how the draft falls. But I'd be looking at one of them offensive linemen in the second round, because if you're going to get bigger and stronger on the defensive line, let's get bigger and stronger on the offensive line as well. And so I'm looking at potentially Jonas Avenaya.
That's it.
Potentially at 48. If Josh Connerly I don't think he's going to fall to 48. But if one of those offensive linemen that can play tackle or guard is there at 48, I'm probably prioritizing that over corner, because I'm saying, look, our goal is to get bigger and stronger in the trenches, so let's fucking do it.
Agree.
Ooh.
Can't
There
be
it
soft. We've been soft, and it's not wrong when people call us soft. We are soft. And if you don't want to be soft, draft some big guys up front. You got to draft people movers. That's a word that a lot of scouts use, GMs kind of use, people movers. Kenneth Grant's a people mover at the end of the day. If they take an offensive guard, if they take the kid from Arizona, like you said, he's a people mover. If they take the kid from Ohio State, if he happens to fall, he's a people mover. I get it. Now, and as I said on shows all this week, Dolphins fans have to temper expectations. We are not going to fill every need on this roster this year. So the secondary might really suck in 2025. But if we can bring in some young pieces on both the offensive line and the defensive line, we're starting to plug. This is not a one-year fix. Okay, this is far from it. So, yeah, the secondary might suck this year. Sorry, is what it is. Don't blame me. I didn't sign these guys. I didn't draft these guys and have them be bust. But if that's the path they take, and they take linemen to build up the trenches, which everyone says you got to build up the trenches. Well, don't yell at them for building up the trenches then. It just means corner, because of the situation we got ourselves in, including paying Xavier Howard this year $15 million to sit on his ass. It's a mess. And so, that is what it is.
I was just going to say, another way to look at it too, though, is if you do build up the trenches, and we got some guys that are coming back from injury on the edge, right? We've got Chop Robinson, who really looked to come on strong the second half of the year last season. You got a Zach Sealer, and now you add this rookie. That's going to put some pressure on the quarterback. That's what you would hope, and it should make the secondary's job a little easier. So you don't need, again, I'm just looking at it from a different angle, a different perspective. The funny thing is, and I follow Zach Sealer's wife, Hannah, and she posted on Twitter a little while ago, I heard Michigan guys know hard work. So she recognizes that, and I think she recognizes how important this is for Zach to get this pick. So
who else is really happy tonight? Mr. Stephen Ross.
Yeah,
Mr.
Sure.
Michigan man himself.
That's correct.
Is
good
really
point.
happy tonight.
Very good point.
And Chris Greer knows how to play the game. If owner's happy, I'm happy.
Let me ask you a question. If the Dolphins would have traded back 5 spots to 18 and picked up a 3rd round pick, we know it didn't happen. And then at 18, they picked Kenneth Grant. Would we be saying it's a reach?
No.
Would have been saying it was a great trade.
No, that would have been a fantastic situation.
Yep.
Okay. So 5 picks is what you're differentiating between it being a good pick or a reach. I'm sure I can almost guarantee you that the Dolphins were trying to drum up interest to trade back.
Absolutely.
I just don't think the interest was there. I think if they could move back a few picks, they would have done it for, and picked up an extra day 2 pick. I just don't think it was there. So they said, all right, well, if push comes to shove, we're looking at Jalen Walker. We're looking at Jahdae Barron. We're looking at Kenneth Grant. We're looking at Gray Zabel. And I probably would have taken Jalen Walker because I would have said, well, this is probably the highest upside pick that we could take, but I'm not going to kill them for taking somebody in the middle of the defense that's big and strong when I've been killing them for 5+ years for not being big and strong.
There. Exactly.
Quick. I want to do a quick. I'm going to just do a quick shift here because I want to shout out Steph G in the chat here. They said, love you guys, especially Mike. Listen every night. My dad passed about 6 weeks ago, and this is my first draft with Adam, and it's tough. So thanks for all you do. And I just want to give a shout out to Steph.
Steph G is going to get a prize. Steph G, here's what I want you to do. Email me at dolphinstalk1977@gmail.com. I will give you your choice of a Fire Greer shirt, or if you don't want that, we'll get you a hat or a Pilsner, pretty much anything you want from the store. So send me an email, though, at dolphinstalk1977@gmail.com. We're going to send you something here tonight. That's thank you for the kind words, but also, look, it's tough. I lost a parent a few years back. Ian, I know you recently lost a parent, roughly around the same time I did, I think. Yep. It's tough. I don't care how old you are. It's tough. So, yeah, we're going to send you some. Just make sure you email me. I'll be on the lookout for it.
Fire Greer shirt.
Fire Greer.
Hey, that did not take very long.
I give the people what they want, Ian. They sell. Zach Krantz was on earlier. He bought 2. I didn't have to give him away. He actually bought 2. Okay.
That is awesome. All right, listen, guys. I'm gonna call it a night.
Okay,
but,
Ian.
Let's go.
Ian, good to see you, buddy.
Hop on again tomorrow. Have some fun with us.
All right.
Great to see you, Ian.
Great to see you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
I won't hit end stream, by the way. I almost did.
Don't hit end stream.
Don't hit that button.
Don't hit end stream.
All right, bye.
So I'll say this again to come back to this pick. It's not that I don't like Kenneth Grant as a player, and it's not that he doesn't fill a need. He does all of those things. Yeah. He is a big physical player. He's a tone changer. He has a very good chance to be the guy that will be able to finally kind of replace what you lost with Christian Wilkins.
That's exactly it.
He's going to be a good addition to the team. Do I think it's a little bit of a reach at 13? Yes. Would I have loved to see them trade back? Yes, but that wasn't on the table. It's not that I'm sure. I'm reasonably confident, based on how long it took them to get the pick in, that it's not like they weren't doing their due diligence. I mean, and as you look at how the draft is playing out, there's no movement. The only movement that there has been thus far,
pick number 2. Yeah.
Right. It was a move to pick number 2. Nobody else is moving, which tells, we know that other teams have been shopping picks, trying to move. Cleveland tried to move back again from 5. Carolina wanted to move back from 8. The Dolphins wanted to move back from 13. Nobody was offering what these teams were looking for, so they had to make the decision. The Dolphins.
Oh, I think Josh froze, but yeah, he's right. And since then, we had Warren went to
13.
Indy. Okay, Josh, you're back. Yeah. Okay, so since Miami, Tyler Warren went to Indy at 14, and Jelon Walker went to Atlanta, which is a home run for them. I mean, if you're Atlanta, that's they only got 5 picks, and the fact Walker fell to them where thgoing is like a home run for Atlanta, so good for them. So those are our next 2 picks. And if you're Miami and you tried to play the game with the Colts, being like, we're going to take Tyler Warren, I'm sure the Colts said, fucking take him. We're calling your bluff. We're not going to part with the pick. We'll call your bluff. And then you're Miami going, okay, well, we don't really buy them. We were just that was just our plan. And okay.
The question is like where Miami had him ranked versus the other guys that are going to be available at 48, because the gamble that they were looking at, what the value proposition that they were looking at was, if we don't pick him here, if we go cornerback here, then that means that we're looking, is he still going to be around at 48, or are we going to want to trade back up into the first round to get him? That was, the options that they were, looking at if they wanted this guy. And if this was the guy they wanted, then, so be it. That's what they wanted. It's a little surprising to me that they valued this ahead of their needs in the secondary, but what are you going to do?
I think it goes like this. What we sort of spoke about on our happy hour show last night over at Patreon/Dolphins Talk. Who are the street guys out there still unsigned? In the secondary, there's a lot of corners. Now, they're old, but there's a lot of corners. You look at the defensive line, there's nothing to sign. John Jenkins and injured Raekwon. I mean, there's nothing to sign. So their logic is we really need someone in the trenches next to Zach. And if we don't get a corner we like day 1 and day 2, because once you get to day 3, you're taking flyers on guys. If we don't get someone in that top 100 at corner, it sucks. Okay, go sign me 32-year-old Stephon Gilmore, and we'll go sign someone like that, which on the line, that's really not an option because there's just nobody. I mean, there's guys, but they stink and they're old. So I can see why. They might have prioritized this position over some others when you factor in, well, what can we do May 1st? Well, May 1st, we might be able to sign a guard. May 1st, we might be able to sign a corner. Nothing great, but we can sign guys. We ain't signing a nose tackle or defensive tackle May 1st. There's nothing out there. So I get it.
Right. So, and now another defensive tackle has come off the board going to Arizona, and Walter Nolan. So
here's the run. This is the run on tackles now.
Yeah. So I mean, this could very well be something that the Dolphins, foresaw, and maybe like some of those guys that they are anticipating, that many of us were anticipating. Exactly. Maybe a lot of those guys that a lot of us thought were going to be around at 48, maybe aren't going to be there, and so maybe 48 is going to be a different situation. So
yeah, it's not even about 48 necessarily. Like there's a consensus that the top tier of defensive tackles was Mason Graham was in a tier of his own. And then these 3 guys, Grant, Harmon, and Nolan, were in the next tier. And they were 3 different players. The Dolphins, and to me, if you're going to prioritize one of these guys over the other, get the guy that can play every down. Yep. Like that's and that's to me what Kenneth Grant is. And the fact is that let's say the Dolphins were fielding calls, and let's say they had an offer. Like, let's say the Rams at 26 were interested in moving up because they were, rumored to be interested in Tyler Warren. And I could see that. But were the Rams willing to give up, enough to move for the Dolphins to move all the way down from 13 to 26? Because if they move down from 13 to 26, not only is there a good shot that you're not getting any of these 3 defensive tackles, there's also a good shot that you're not going to get one of the corners. We don't know what's going on with Will Johnson, but I can almost guarantee that the report about his injury concern, it's valid. Because if this guy wasn't actually hurt, he would have been off the board already. So now you're risking not getting one of your top corners. You're not getting one of those top defensive tackles. And now all of a sudden, and you don't even know if you move all the way back to 26, you don't even know if the 2 safeties are going to be there that you
exactly.
And so for you to move from 13 to 26, you need probably multiple day 2 picks, one this year and one next year, to really, for that to be worth your while to move that far down. And so without having another option, like, for example, a team coming up like Denver, but obviously that wasn't in the cards. If that was the only option, was to move to like 26 or to like the 30s with the Giants or the Browns, those teams probably weren't going to give up enough for it to be worth Miami's while. So they said, well, we want to get bigger and stronger. So I can't kill the pick. Again, I would have taken Jalen Walker, because I think if you're going to use the pick, get a guy that really has the potential of being like a Pro Bowl caliber player. But again, like, we killed this team for
I know
forever for not investing on the interior of the team. I'm not going to kill them for investing in a big, strong guy on the interior of the defense.
I'm not either. And I do want to say, Josh, I just looked at social media. I clicked on, and the first tweet, I'm not going to say from who, because it doesn't matter, because I'm sure there's 50 of them. We're back. No matter what we spoke about last night, no matter who we took, there's going to be multiple people saying, we're back. We're back, baby.
Quote from Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
McDaniel.
Cooking. I'm waiting for that one too.
Yeah. McDaniel is quoted in his press conference this evening as saying he's a guy that can draw some attention from other really good players. We jumped on this one with elation.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
I mean, look, again, like Aaron said, and he said it very well, I don't hate the pick. If I was in charge, which I'm not, clearly, would I have made this pick? Maybe not. I probably would have went with Walker. I might look at one of the corners, but I get why they went Grant when you factor. And again, these are self-inflicted wounds by Chris Greer. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to take a defensive tackle round 1, come hell or high water. And he put himself in this corner with his action or lack of action the past 2 months and the past few years with the contracts and the salary cap. He put himself in a position where defensive tackle was such a big need that even losing all 4 starters in your secondary, it's still not a bigger need than defensive line. And that's the corner he backed himself in, and he had to make this move, which, again, not a bad player. Watch some of the folks, I'll tell you right now, go on YouTube, just watch the highlights. This dude's running 25 yards downfield, and he's catching fast running backs from behind on a few plays. This guy can play, okay? It's just with the other options out there, which at your secondary, offensive line, if they did take someone here, it would have been great to finally maybe check a box. Maybe this offensive line will totally suck for years to come because we actually used a first-round pick on a guy. So there are things, but I don't hate the pick. And I think most Dolphins fans, they're probably lukewarm on it for the most part, saying, okay, not bad, but stand-up double. Like I said, not a triple, not a home run. It's a stand-up double. And here's the deal. If you stack enough stand-up doubles, you'll have a pretty good roster.
Yeah. And like, to me, I think you said it. You said it perfectly. And the biggest thing is, like we said, going into the draft, no matter who they take, they're not going to have it all figured out with one pick.
No, it's one pick.
It's
a
draft. It's going to be a whole draft class.
to me, what they do in day 2, and then to a lesser extent in day 3, although it does matter because they have a lot of in day 3. But what they do in day 2 will solidify the thought process and the direction of this team. To me, if they end up going corner in round 2, we got to see the way things fall.
There's a couple I'd be okay with. There would be a couple. Trey Amos from Ole Miss and a kid from Kentucky. Now, look, they might be gone by the end of round 1, honestly. I mean, who knows? But those are 2 guys, and Cincinnati took Shamar Stewart. Those are 2 guys I'd be okay with there. I don't love the kid from East Carolina, but he's okay. I don't love the kid from Florida State, but it's fine if they took him. It's just me personal taste preference. And it's safeties. We haven't had safety yet. Xavier Watts tomorrow night from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye on him as well. And also the corner from Notre Dame, Morrison, who, if he didn't get hurt last year, might have been the top 1 or 2 corners in this draft, but he got hurt, missed a lot of games, so he fell. Round 2 guy, though. Keep an eye on him for Miami. I'm with you, though, Aaron. I want an offensive lineman tomorrow night because I think guard, there's a lot of value there. I think someone's probably going to fall, and I think someone who can probably – look, we cannot have Liam Eichenberg start, period, bar none. Just can't happen. And I think unless they plan on signing Sheriff Will Hernandez May 1st, if they do, I understand not taking a guard. If they don't have that in the plans, then take a freaking guard and let's solve this once and for all. Hopefully, because we don't know about any of these players. We're just our gut feelings type stuff now. I want to share one thing, and I'll let you guys speak. Marcel Louis-Jacques at the headquarters just put out a tweet that I find hilarious. Chris Greer said after picking Kenneth Grant, he immediately got multiple text messages from other GMs saying Grant was their guy. I call bullshit. What do you want him to say? I got the guy everyone wanted. Look at me. Of course he's going to say that. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah,
I'm sure he got those calls from teams that were picking at like 19 and 20.
Yeah, I'm sure. Or he got calls from general managers who had no intention of taking him. Great job, Chris. Thanks. You helped me out. Someone just fell down to me. Thanks, Chris. You're the best.
It sounds like the Seahawks are actually trading back here. So they are trading out of pick number 18 to go back. So it'll be interesting to see who comes up.
Maybe the Broncos or maybe Giants Browns. Can we see Giants Browns possibly
trading back into the first round? Possibly.
This would be
really interesting because neither of them, none of those other quarterbacks have come off the board yet. So
yeah, this would be a spot right here, possibly for that. We'll see.
So I just think I think it's a fine moment for the Dolphins. Like I said, it's a fine pick, right?
I got to share this comment. Hold on.
Okay.
Mike loves. Have you listened to this? I sell a Fire. I've had a Fire Greer shirt.
Ray, come on.
Team store since last Thanksgiving.
I'm sure that's a sarcastic comment. I'm
positive
it is. That's Ray. That's one of our Dolphins Talk Extra subscribers. There's no way that.
Okay. That's true. Okay, I got you. I want to see what Seattle does.
I'm very curious. Oh, now I'm hearing the pick is in. So maybe they haven't made the trade.
Oh, we'll see.
So let's see.
Yeah, it says the pick is in. So maybe they were talking about a trade and it fell through or something. Who knows? I will say this too, and I will go back and watch this at some point tonight, and I will just fast forward through it. The Pat McAfee broadcast with Mad Mel Kiper. If you've never seen Mad Mel Kiper, he has a guy in the show who does a dead-on Mel Kiper impression, but it's like an angry Mel Kiper, and it is freaking hilarious. It's like an angry Mel Kiper, and he's had this guy like 5 years in a row now, 6, and it's so funny because it's not just the impression; he's got material, and it's so funny. And I always go back after the fact and watch Mad Mel because it's just so damn good. Yeah.
So let's see here. I'm just kind of waiting to see what the next thing. What's the next situation? Chris Greer says in the presser that the Dolphins aren't necessarily waiting until June 1st to work out a Jalen Ramsey trade. So that's good to know.
I mean, Saturday. I'm thinking Saturday. Friday might be too optimistic in round 3. I'm thinking Saturday when we get to round 4 or 5. That's when we'll probably have some news. There, Turner. I can't post a Mad Mouth thing because it's on the Pat McAfee channel, and that stuff's copyrighted.
Here's a quote. Greer said they feel like the cornerback group is deep this year and noted that good corners have come into the league through all rounds.
I mean,
coach speak. They also love Marcus McMorris, and they're going to talk up their players. And
Horn Dog is great.
Yeah,
Cam Smith. Now it's starting. I mean, it's all going to be the happy horse shit that he sells.
Gray Zabel goes to Seattle, so they're not trading back.
Gray Zabel. Their offensive line was just as bad as Miami, so I'm not surprised by it being an offensive. I mean, their offensive line's really bad, like really bad. I do think there's going to be some guys moved, probably starting tomorrow into Saturday. Ramsey obviously is one. I know the Jets are shopping Hall, their running back, which is a little surprising. I think just because they probably don't want to pay him after his contract's up, so it's like let's try to move him now, like a year early, which makes sense. I've said some nice things about the Jets. My skin's crawling, but you got to give them credit when they do smart things. And I think taking an offensive lineman last year round 1, this year round 1, and if they can trade a running back so he just doesn't walk and get something for him, I think that's probably a smart move. So I think we'll see him moved. There's been a rumor. It hasn't been spoken about a lot that possibly tomorrow you might see Philadelphia trade A.J. Brown to New England for a second round pick. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think A.J. Brown.
That would be quite an offload right there.
That would be. I think Philadelphia's got so much talent. I think part of it's the money involved, and plus, I know there was times last year he was whining and complaining a little bit. There's that, and plus, we know the Patriots have 0 weapons around. They have nothing on offense. So for them, it would be a big deal to get A.J. Brown. So I don't know if it'll happen, but I mean. Hall, Ramsey, Brown, there's a few other guys, but those are probably the biggies who could get moved Friday, Saturday. We'll see.
Yeah. So, guys, I'm probably going to head out here and call it a night.
Yeah, and I think we should probably wind this up soon because we're going to be back at it tomorrow, at least through pick 48. I don't know if we'll stay through 98. That's a long night. But, thank you, everyone, for joining. We really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. Patrick, you're getting a shirt. And Steph, I'll give you whatever the heck you want. Patrick, I know how to reach. Steph, I haven't checked my email, but just send me that. Let me see if you sent me one already. I don't see it. Yeah, so Steph, please be sure that you email me at dolphinstalk1977@gmail.com. Otherwise, I don't know how to get a hold of you. Or you can send me a private message on Twitter at Dolphins Talk. You can reach out to me that way as well. Or if you want to reach out to Josh or Aaron or Ian, someone will put you in touch with me. But I can't send you nothing. Oh, you said you sent it to me. Let me see. Oh, wrong one. You might send. Yes. Send it to dolphinstalk1977@gmail.com, or you just reach out to me. We'll get it to you. And tomorrow we'll probably give away something else as well. But thank you guys. We have a lot of people in here right now. Let's go. It was a very good night. We really do appreciate the support. And also, like we said, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. It's $3 a month. If you enjoyed this content, interactive shows where you can come on with us. And if you don't agree with us, you can call us like an idiot and like a moron to our face. We're okay. We got thick skin. Or if you do agree with us and you like us, you can say nice things to us too. And you can talk about anything with the Dolphins. We have those shows probably about once a month in the off season. We have extra podcasts. Myself and Aaron, if there's a good reality TV show, we'll have a show on that. We do shows I do a show about pro wrestling. We'll probably start doing a show about Major League Baseball as we get into the season more. We'll have something.
Go Cubs, there. Baby. Go Cubs.
Cubs over 84.5 or so. Yeah, that's all I need. And also, what else? Oh, and we also got the private message board on Discord. A little bit more laid back than Twitter and stuff, where no one's jumping down your back screaming at you. It's more of a relaxed, calmer atmosphere to talk about the Dolphins or anything. So patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. I want to see a lot of you people signed up into that.
Get in there, baby. Lots of
Okay.
content coming for you all off season, including the Brains film reviews. If you really want to see that
Yeah.
extra content, ask the Dolphins to multiply the number of picks they got in day 2. Keep the brain
Steph,
busy
I got
all
your
summer
email.
long.
I got your email, Steph, so we're good to go. I see now. Yeah, don't send to 1979, 1977. I got it, though, so I'll be reaching out to you later tonight or first thing in the morning. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll be back tomorrow. If the Dolphins, if they did pull off a miracle and trade back into round 1, I know I'll hop back on for a few minutes, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm gonna hang out and keep watching. So if the Dolphins pop back on, I'll hop back on with you, Mike. We'll communicate.
We will communicate. So everyone, thank you so much, and we'll see you Friday. Where else would you rather be in a Friday night than with me?
That's right.
Josh and Aaron. Maybe
Go Dolphins!
Go Dolphins! Take care, everybody.
Let's watch some Kenneth Grant film.